Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Virtual Host University 2020. Glad to have you all here this afternoon. Plenty of in attendance. We've had almost 2,000 registered today, so we have a great audience for this fabulous event. Thank you very much again for attending from parts unknown somewhere in the United States. That's great about virtual. So we have a great agenda for you today, all about being successful with virtual seminars and virtual products as we now move into what is we call the new normal, but we'll call the new opportunity. And I am Ivan Kramer, the CEO of White Glove. So welcome. Our founders of this company 5 years ago set out to really develop a live seminar product that would be the best product in the industry. And now we are here talking about the same effort to create a virtual product that would become the best product in the industry. Myself, I started with this company almost a little over 3 months ago. And when we got here, obviously this was before COVID had hit. Within 2 weeks, we were moving the company remote and starting to develop virtual products. And what's great is that I had come from a company just previously that did over 400,000 hours of webinars last year. So we really have taken our efforts to really build a great product and want to share with you today everything that we've done and where we feel we're heading and how to make you as advisors very successful adapting to the new virtual world. So with that, we've got a great agenda for you today. We've got several speakers, several outside speakers. We're going to really talk about how you can become successful in terms of generating appointments. How do you use the right format for webinars? How do you develop leads and new clients? We'll be talking about some of the best practices out there as we get your peers on the line. So we've got really a great agenda for you today. So with that, we're going to start off with our keynote speaker. As we go through the day, there are going to be two MCs that join us who are founders of this company, Mike Thurman and Jeff Grail. And so through the different breaks, they will be providing some giveaways as well as making some announcements. So look out for Jeff and Mike following each speaker. But for our keynote speaker, it's my pleasure today to talk about someone that I'm personally friends with, actually lived down the street from me until very recently. He is someone that is a brain cancer survivor at the age of 39 and really fought to win that battle. He'll talk about that, but he's one of your peers. He's been a wholesaler since 1997 and comes from a family in this business and really understands the business. He has written a bestseller book, Starting at the Finish Line, as well as been a TEDx speaker over 3 times, which is phenomenal. So he's very motivational. He's really fought through some experiences that he really wants to share with everyone today. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Matt Newman, who can also be seen at MatthewSNewman.com, and that S obviously for superhero. Without further ado, let's cue it up for Matt Newman.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, and Evan, things happen for a reason, and I'm a firm believer in that. Ladies and gentlemen, we learn some of the greatest lessons in life at the deepest and darkest of times. We can be given a new set of lenses that we look through. We start to have a different perspective on realness and purity, and we could take that information, we could digest it, and we could own it. But often when we're given that gift that we have the opportunity to see life through differently, not only from a personal level, from a business level, we have to take that and transpose it into real life. Because ladies and gentlemen, change breeds complacency or change breeds opportunity. Look at the changes we're having in our industry right now. We're dealing with pandemics, we're dealing with protests, all this other stuff that's going on. And we're seeing a massive change going on. The day of the traditional financial advisor is pretty much behind us. We've been a very archaic industry. For the last 100 years, we've dressed the same. We've had the same type of handshakes, the same types of meeting with clients, the same types of financial plans. We're no longer advisors. Our job is to become the family life coach. Our job is to be there for people when things are bad, to have a plan in place prior to the negative and give them good news at these deep and dark times. By putting that plan in place, we have this amazing opportunity of a shrinking industry, but a growing need for us. According to the Wall Street Journal in January, during this bull market, it was estimated that the average age of a financial advisor is 61 years old. And it was also shown that 36% of those advisors will no longer be in this industry over the next 10 years. That is due to retirement, due to death, due to people changing occupation. We're seeing more people turn 65 every day than ever in the history of mankind before. But now we're seeing our actual profession shrink at a ridiculous rate. Because of this pandemic, we're seeing people get out of the industry. There's over $2 trillion in robo-advisors. That doesn't include the money that's in Betterment, that's in Robinhood, that's in TD, as well as in Charles Schwab. There's this unbelievable opportunity for us to really become these family life coaches, to dig in, to hit people in the heartstrings, to connect with them on a deeper level, and be more of that family wellness coach, where we could be looking at the greatest opportunity we will ever see. Ladies and gentlemen, I graduated from the University of Delaware in 1996. I will never forget being at graduation, wearing this beautiful blue gown, blue hat. Maya Angelou just gave the big speech, and my mother and father walk onto the football field where we had the graduation. What's interesting is my father was a financial advisor. My mother was a school teacher. Two completely differing occupations, but they both planted these seeds inside of me that really didn't bloom till much later, and they would make sense, but there were lessons that were learned at young ages that we absolutely start to understand better as we age. And I remember my father walking up to me and he said, "Not too bad, buddy." I was like, "Yeah, Dad, the king is here, graduation." He said, "What do you want to do now?" I said, "Dad, that's easy. I'm going to become a financial advisor. I'm going to join your firm." And in my father's thick Bronx accent, I will clean my language up, he told me there was no bleeping way I was joining his firm. And I was angry and I was mad. And every picture of me at graduation is like this. I'm just like, I can't believe this guy said that. He was teaching me one of the greatest lessons in life. There's no free lunches. He goes, go out, get licensed, find a job, earn it, and we'll talk in a few years. And as angry as I was in this lesson that I was being given, he basically taught me that I have to find a passion, something that I take to, something that becomes a lifestyle, not a job, but becomes my life. So I started wholesaling. I grew up in Northern Jersey and I moved down to Philadelphia. I was a Giants fan who moved down to Philadelphia. And as crazy as that situation was, I fell in love with Philadelphia immediately in 1996. I moved to the Old City area where they had the beautiful cobblestone streets, Betsy Ross knit the flag. There was this amazing genre of young people in medical school, law school, starting their occupation, starting their careers. It was infectious. And from the minute I moved there, Philadelphia became home, and I knew it. And I started my career. And I remember my father sitting down with me right as I started, telling me three things, which really resonated the power of financial planning that I learned at a young age. He said, three things you need to understand. One is if you're not going to own the product, or someone in your family is not going to own it, don't buy it. Or don't sell it. Practice what you preach. It's about the long-term relationship. Number two is always be honest with people. They could see through you. If you give honesty, if you practice everything that you believe in, if you own the products you talk about, and you take the work ethic that got you that soccer scholarship to Delaware, great things are going to happen. And I started my journey. My journey as a financial advisor in a wholesaler perspective, showing people that the job of the advisor is to be there when things are bad, to plan in place of prior to the negative, give people good news at these deep and dark times, and that's what opens up opportunity. And business started. 1999, things started to shoot up when we started to have this tech boom, and then the bust happened in 2000. In 2001, I became the top person in my company. In 2002, I became the number one person in my industry. And I remember my father calling me going, "Hey, I think it's time that we talk about you joining my firm." I said, "Dad, you can't afford me. That's over now. I found my craft. I found my calling. And it was something I loved, but I was taking these lessons that my father gave me and I was implementing them into my practice." We also had that belief is you practice everything you preach. And that was a mantra that we took with us. 2004, I met the girl I was going to marry. I knew it immediately. Within one date, I never met with anybody else. She was the perfect person. Her name is Rebecca. Rebecca grew up in a very different atmosphere than I did. I was a Jewish guy growing up in Northern Jersey. Dad Advisor? I just said, Mom was a teacher. My wife grew up in mining country, Pennsylvania. They grew up in a 400 square foot row home. Her father was a highway construction worker. Mother was a janitor. I heard a lot of negativity about as we were going to get married, about in-laws and relationships. We were completely different, but they were amazing people. My father-in-law liked to hunt. He liked to grow vegetables. He liked to do all these fixing things and whatnot. I did none of that, but we loved to drink a beer and we loved to watch baseball, and I couldn't wait for them to be part of my family. We got married in 2006 and we decided it was time to get out of the city. About 9 months after our wedding, I'll let everybody do the math on this, we were expecting our first child. And remember my dad sitting down with me that July. First child was due in September. And he said, what do you say every day? Our job is to be there when things are bad. Our job is to have a plan in place prior to the negative. Our job is not to sell products, it's to sell strategies and solutions to give people good news when they need it the most. He said, do you practice everything you preach? I said, absolutely, Dad. He said, you're about to take on more responsibility in life. You're about to be a father. Did you do your will? Did you do your power of attorney? Did you do your life insurance? I said, well, Dad, just did a Tough Mudder, just ran the Broad Street Run, beast mode, man. I'm going to get to that. He goes, so you don't practice everything you preach. And over the next 2 weeks, I decided to do all that. The basics of financial planning, ladies and gentlemen, is not investing. Investing is the top of the pyramid if we're looking at it that way. The basic foundation of financial planning is legal documentation. It's having wills, power of attorneys, regardless of your wealth. If someone becomes incapacitated or dies, it's a way to alleviate burdens and regret and resentment on family members and let them know that you had a plan in place prior and they could grieve, they could do the necessary things because that plan was taken care of and done. And by not doing that, it could cause all types of negativity, which also alleviates you keeping those assets. So as I did all that, in 2007, my first son was born and we had just moved to Washington Crossing, Pennsylvania, right near where Evan lived. About 2 years later, my second son was born in 2009. And in 2010, my wife was pregnant with our third child. And one day I decided to take a buddy of mine, my friend Rick Levy, who's one of the top doctors at CHOP at that point. He's one of my best friends. He's the godfather of my second child. It was his birthday. And I said, Rebecca, I want to take Rick to play golf. If I wanted to go play golf with 2 young kids and a pregnant wife, my stuff would have been waiting on the front lawn. But Rick's very important to us. She said, my mom and dad are going to be here. Go early in the morning and get back. So Rick and I go out and we play golf and we come back and I see my father-in-law, Larry, sitting there fixing our mailbox. That's what he did. Every time he came over, he would take care of things. That was what he was into. And I pull up next to him in the driveway and he's sitting there fixing the mailbox. I go, hey, Larry, do me a favor. He goes, yeah. I go, when you're done with that, there's some lights out in the garage. Do me a favor and change that. And I started laughing and I drove up the driveway. And my friend Rick looked at me. He goes, dude, there's something wrong. I go, what do you mean there's something wrong? He's fixing the mailbox. That's what he does. He goes, he looks jaundiced. He looks yellow. He goes, we got to get this looked at. I go, are you out of your mind? He's sitting out there fixing everything. He's 60 years old. Guy's in great shape. We go in and he tells my wife this. And my wife makes an appointment with him for the University of Pennsylvania just to make sure everything's okay. That Father's Day, we all get our family together and we're living in the moment and appreciating the now, spending time with grandkids, our own children, nieces and nephews, and just really appreciating things. And I remember the phone rang and my father-in-law goes over and answers it and he picks up the phone while we're all enjoying ourselves. And that was the moment we found out at 60 years old, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. My first experience with cancer, ladies and gentlemen, happened when I was 15 years old. My Grandma Harriet, was diagnosed with cancer. I wasn't old enough to understand it, digest it, or really get it. I remember one day she was Grandma Harriet, the next day she was wearing a cancer turban, and the next day she was gone. What I do remember is what it did to my mom. My mother and my grandmother spoke every day on the phone. Every weekend, we were at their house in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. They were at our house in Parsippany. And I watched the anxiety. I watched the evilness of what this disease did. My mother became a different person. She started crying every day. She couldn't handle what would happen. And I wish I could have been there. I wish I was old enough to get it. I wish I could have hugged my mom more, but it didn't make sense to me. My wife and my father-in-law had a very similar relationship. There were 2 peas in a pod. My wife is pregnant with our third child. We've got 2 kids under 3 years old, and she made it her full-time job to do nothing but take care of her father. She would drive him down 45 minutes to the University of Pennsylvania where he would get his Whipple procedure. He would get that done, come back home. She would wait on him hand and foot. Then every day back and forth. She would take him for his chemo and his radiation. She never complained. She never bitched. She did what family does. She was there for someone. It was an honor to be a part of this and to watch this and see what real strength is built off of. I remember sitting with my father-in-law, all emaciated, and we're going through everything that he's dealing with. And he told me he had two goals. One was to see all three of his grandkids born, and the other was them to be old enough to have real memories of him. He was a warrior. And what he was showing me is he never complained, is that he would take on the fight to try and achieve those two things. Watching my wife and my father-in-law together showed me what real love is, what really being there for someone when things are bad is all about. Cancer's a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, left. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your feelings. It does what it wants, when it wants. And about a year and a half later, we're about to celebrate our 5th wedding anniversary. And Larry's roller coaster was looking better. The average shelf life of someone with pancreatic cancer is usually about 6 months. He was a little bit over a year. And I remember telling my wife, we got to go away. We got to go do something for our 5-year anniversary. We've got 3 kids now. The last year has been spent dealing with young children and your father. It's also about us. And she told me there's no way she would leave him. And he looked her in the face. He goes, you got to go. And we decided to go to Paris. And we wanted to go there and just be together during this time. And about 2 weeks before our trip in November, we get a call from the doctor saying, we think we see a mark. We can't tell you exactly what it is. It might be nothing, but we want to redo the test. And we're going to do it in 2 weeks. And my wife, Rebecca, looks at me. She goes, we're not going anywhere. I go, we're going. Larry looks at her and goes, you're going. I'll go through the test. We'll go with your sister, Lori. She'll take care of everything, and we'll call you. So we leave to go to Paris with a plan in place. The night we get the test results back, we're going to hear good news. And we're going to go celebrate our 5-year anniversary and our appreciation of life, of seeing things through a little bit of a different lens through all that we've taken on. And we get out there, and it's just her and I, and we're holding hands, we're walking around, we're going to the Louvre, we're enjoying life, we're enjoying love. And I'll never forget that day. We got a beautiful bottle of Bordeaux over there poured. We're each having a glass of wine, and we see the phone ring, and we see Lori's name on it. And Rebecca walks over and goes, just 1 second. She goes, hey, Lori, give me the good news. And then I saw the phone drop, and I saw Rebecca just break down into tears. The only thing I remember is calling the airline and just whatever it cost, we needed to get home. She needed to be there for her dad. She needed to be a part of it. She needed to let him know she was there to support him. Cancer didn't care about our honeymoon, or our anniversary, excuse me. Cancer didn't care about the trip that we were on. Cancer did what it wanted, when it wanted. And again, it reared its head at a difficult time. We get to 2013. It's been 2.5 years and Larry's still fighting. And I'm driving on an icy, snowy day in a town called Bridgewater, New Jersey. There's accidents all over the place, fender benders on the side of the road. I drive right up and I'm like, I'm not dealing with this today. I'm doing 25 miles per hour. And as I get to the next traffic light, my car hydroplanes right into the next one, flips over into the median. I'm holding on to that steering wheel thinking all that working out I do is for this right now. Airbags go off, car gets totaled. I get out without a scratch on my body. Police come running over me. They go, dude, you got to get to the hospital, man. I'm like, no, man, beast mode. I'm good. I got this. I go, you got to get to the hospital. I call my wife. She's down at the University of Pennsylvania doing chemotherapy with Larry again. The roller coaster's gone the other way. And I tell her what happened. And she goes, you got to get to the hospital. I go, no, I'm okay. She goes, don't forget about our friend Karen Mancini. We have a friend named Karen. She was driving in a town called Bluebell, Pennsylvania, and a guy T-bones her at a traffic light. The police come over and say, just to be safe, we should really take you over to the hospital and make sure you're okay. 3 hours later, the doctors walk in and we go, we want you to send a thank you note and flowers to the person that hit you. We just found an aneurysm in your brain. You would have been dead 3-4 hours from now. I thought about my children. I thought about my wife. And like a type A personality, I went on my way. That night I get home, Larry's sitting on the couch, all emaciated from chemotherapy again. And my head is killing me. I have a massive pain that just won't stop. And I'm thinking, did I like bang my head or something? And I just don't remember it. And I tell Rebecca this. My wife suffers from chronic migraines. And I'm telling her how bad my head hurts. She goes, did you go to the doctor? I go, no. She goes, did you go to the hospital? No. Try getting chronic migraines. I don't want to hear about it. Over the next 2 weeks, the migraines would get worse and worse. The pain got so severe. It got to a point where it never stopped. Within 2 weeks, I lost all ability to sleep. Larry'd be passing out on the couch and I'd be passed out next to him from 8:30 to 10. I'd wake up, I couldn't go back to bed. It wasn't about me. It was about my 3 young children. It was about Rebecca taking care of her father. I couldn't get involved in this right now. And I'm giving a speech in Bridgewater, New Jersey, similar to right in the area where I actually got in that car accident. And I basically speak all over the country. And as I'm giving this speech, I go to make a point on the PowerPoint, and I feel a hot flash hit me in the face. And a couple seconds later, slur and gurgle poured out of my mouth. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was going on, but I remember seeing myself standing outside my body going, "You are having a stroke. You are having a stroke." It felt like an eternity. And about 5-6 seconds later, I got myself together. I'm like, oh, not sleeping so well. Let's bounce right back into this. When I finished the presentation, everybody left. And I'm not sure how many people really picked up on it. But a good buddy of mine is a higher up at BlackRock. And he comes up to me and goes, "Dude, what was that?" I go, "What are you talking about, man?" He goes, "I've done hundreds of these with you. You don't miss a word, man." He goes, "I'm going to tell you something I never told you. 37 years ago, when I was 6 years old, I got hit in the head with a baseball bat. I've been on anti-seizure medication this entire time. You just had a seizure, man. You got to get to the hospital." I'm like, "Nah, you're out of your mind. You're nuts." And I went to my car scared out of my mind. Over the next 3 weeks, I had 9 more of these types of events. I had one while I was driving, one while I was running, training for the Broad Street Run in Philadelphia, another one while I was giving a speech. And it started to get to the point between the pain, the lack of sleep, and now these stroke things I was happening, I was getting extremely scared. And on May 14th, 2013, I was giving a presentation in my hometown of Parsippany, New Jersey, in front of about 400 people. And as I'm making my points, I feel a hot flash hit me in the face, and I knew what was coming. I turned my back on everybody to point to a PowerPoint so they couldn't see the reality. That was the moment I decided I'm going to the hospital right now. I finished the presentation, and about 30 hands go up. Pretty good. 30 hands go up. You're giving a presentation, you're making points, how to be there when things are bad, how to protect your clients, how to maintain these relationships. And my head just dropped. I looked at my watch. I said, "I'm running late. I apologize. I got to leave." People coming up to me, "Matt, one last question." This is going through my mind. If someone doesn't get away from me, someone's getting put on the ground right now. That is not me. People come to my car with me. One more question. I peel out of the parking lot. That's not me. I don't do that. I get in the car. I fly down. I call my doctor. I go, "Listen, here's what's going on. I've been having this, blah, blah, blah." I hear him say, "You need to get to the hospital right this second." I call my wife. She's shopping at a place called the King of Prussia Mall, taking a little break from my father-in-law who's going through chemo again. I tell her what's going on, and we decide we're going to meet at a place called Capital Health in Hopewell, New Jersey. I got about a 90-minute ride, and my head's all over the place. Okay, maybe they're going to fix this. They're going to find out what the deal is. They'll take care of it. Maybe I'm going to die. I don't know. We meet in the parking lot. We walk in, and they tell me they're going to give me a CAT scan. I'm like, "Yeah, CAT scan, no problem. Let's knock that thing out. It's like an x-ray." Give me a CAT scan, and 3 hours later, the doctors come back. They go, "Mr. Newman, we know the problem." I'm like, "All right, yeah, what's the deal?" "You have a lesion on the left frontal lobe of your brain. It's causing massive pain." I'm like, "You ain't kidding, man. It's causing you to have these losses of sleep." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the deal." "And Mr. Newman, you're not having strokes. You're having seizures, which is what's causing this problem to happen." As difficult as that sounds to take, I was like, yes, that's the deal. Diagnose it, fix it. What do we got to do? We got to give you MRIs, MRAs, all this stuff. So over the next 9 hours, I'm going in and out of the tube back and forth. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, they come in, they go, "Mr. Newman, we got to do an MRI and an MRA with contrast. We got to shoot that into you to get a better vision of what we need to do." So my wife, Rebecca, says to me, she goes, "I'm going to go home. I'm going to make lunch for the kids that are all under 5. I'm going to find a ride for my father for chemotherapy. And I'll probably be back in like an hour and a half." I go, "Yeah, I'm going to be in the tube anyway. Don't worry about it." So they come in to wheel me down. And they say, "Mr. Newman, jump in the wheelchair. We got to bring you down. MRI, MRA contrast." I go, "Listen, I can walk. I just did the Broad Street Run 8 days ago. I don't need to get back in a wheelchair." They go, "Mr. Newman, you got to get back in the wheelchair. Liability." All right. So I get in the wheelchair. They grab the clipboard. "Mr. Newman, MRI, MRA. Now we're going to do with contrast. We need to see how big your brain tumor is." I go, "It's a lesion." And that was the moment at 39 I was diagnosed with brain cancer. They brought me down into the tube. I was in it for an hour and a half. My head's racing all over the place. They bring me back. They hook me up to about 30 machines, tell me I'm not going to be going anywhere. And I just started to cry. I started to have retrospective on my life. You get diagnosed with brain cancer, you're going to die. And I started to think something I did must have caused this. I'm thinking about my children. thinking about, I'm a good dad, I'm a good husband. And ladies and gentlemen, strength is not how big your arms are. Strength is not how much you bench press. Strength is something that's located deep down in our bellies, that at the deepest and darkest of times, we can find it, we can grab it, and we can own it. I saw it, I took it, and I just started screaming and cursing my brains out. And the nurses come running in who still tell this story to this day. They go, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine." That was my pity party. If I'm going down swinging. And about an hour later, surgeon walks in with my wife. My wife's wiping her eyes. She's got her dad on the downward spiral going through pancreatic cancer. She's got her husband with brain cancer. And the surgeon looks at me and goes, "Let me tell you what we're going to do." I go, "Let me tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get this crap out of my head and I'm going to take care of the rest." And he goes, "Don't move." Because Mr. Newman, Friday, you're going to get a full craniotomy. We're going to cut half your head off. We're going to pull it back. We're going to pull your jaw out. We're going to take the tumor out. And 10 days later, we're going to know the severity of it. But I want you to read this. And it was a study by the American Medical Association. It was on recovery. There's some diseases that there's nothing we could do. They may take us physically. They will never take us spiritually. We own our legacies. If we allow the diseases to be what we're remembered for, that's on us. We own the ability for people to remember us for the value, for the realness that we bring to the table of who we really are deep down inside. And that comes out at these difficult times. And I remember reading this thing. And it talked how important attitude was. And all they were doing is pouring gasoline on the fire that I was exposed to. Because what it pointed out is that we've all heard of the couple that's married for 50 years. And the husband comes down with cancer. The wife is healthy as a horse. Husband passes away. And what do we often find out 6 months later happens? The wife passes away. Once you fall into that downward spiral of negativity, regret, resentment, the odds of coming out of it are very little. And I'm now all fired up. Now I'm reading this. I am not falling into that thing. And I remember my wife walking in going, "Your parents and my parents are on the way over." It's not her parents. It's my cancer partner. Larry was there to show me how to fight with independence, how to have dignity. He was preparing me for the path that I was just placed on. I didn't want to be on it, but I had a better perspective from watching him. I know how my parents are going to be. Get brain cancer, they think you're going to die. So I said, "Hun, do me a favor, give me the iPad real quick." She goes, yeah. Do you want to watch a movie or something? I go, "Just give me the iPad." So she gives me the iPad. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I pulled up was my will. All the boxes were checked. Next thing I did is I pulled up my power of attorney. God forbid something happens, she'll be able to take care of everything. I pulled up my life insurance. I pulled up my trusts. I pulled up my mortgage. And that was the moment I realized that every speech I ever gave in my career was about me. All my boxes were checked. And I remember my father, my mother, and Larry and Jackie walking in. And Larry just nods his head at me, and I nodded back at him. And my dad gave me that same look from Delaware of, "How you doing, buddy?" But I saw the fear in his eyes. I saw the anger. I saw the anxiety. I said, "Dad, come here, sit down for a minute." And I showed him that iPad. And I showed him the will, the power of attorney, the things that he put in me that blossomed later on. And I kind of took that iPad and I threw it on the bed. I said, "Dad, there's only one thing on my mind." He goes, "What's that?" I go, "Getting better. No matter what happens, they are going to be taken care of. If I'm going down swinging." And for the first time in my life, I saw my dad break down and cry. And he said, "This is what you're going to tell people." He goes, "You're going to beat this." I go, "I know." And he goes, "These are the stories you're going to share. This is the job. Our job is to be there when things are bad, to allow you to focus on the fight and not deal with this." And all it did is provoke me more and more. I also started to have a better understanding of life, about living in the moment and appreciating the now. I went through surgery that Friday. I went home that Sunday. When I went home, I looked like I had a second head. And they brought me down, and Rebecca picked me up in the same car I dropped off 6 days earlier. And we drove to my house. And as we pulled up my driveway, I get out of the car and I walk in. And I have 3 little kids holding signs saying, "I love you, Daddy. Thank you for coming home." I start to cry. I didn't cry out of negativity. I cried out of happiness. I was appreciating that moment. It wasn't about an hour from now. It wasn't about yesterday. It was about this. It was about being there for loved ones. Home is where the heart is. I walked upstairs. I went into my bed. I fell asleep for 13 hours. This is where I needed to be. The love, everything that I felt was real. It was pure. And I was giving this gift. I was seeing life through a different set of lenses. Things could be at such a young age. It was real. I wouldn't know the severity of this for 10 days. And 5 days into this, my son, Luke, was having his 5-year-old picnic for fathers at school. And my wife says to me, she goes, you don't have to go this. I go, I won't miss this for the world. This is a gift, and I'm never going to not take advantage of being there with my children and being someone who's important to them and sharing stories and love with them. So that morning, we take my kids to school, and I take my little 2-year-old daughter, Lola, and I take her over, and I walk her over to her class, and she takes her little pink jacket, and she takes it off. And she looks at me and goes, I love you, Daddy. Thank you for taking me. And I realized usually I'm on my phone, I'm not doing these. It's about the now. It's about the moment. It's Lola's moment, not mine. And I go home and I'm feeling euphoric. I'm getting this gift that I've been given. And later that day, Rebecca says to me, you don't have to go to Luke's lunch. I say, no, I would never miss this. And we go to his lunch. He's waiting for me at the door. He gives me a big hug. I got a big hat hiding this enormous scar that's on my head. And we walk out in the back. And I'm so happy to be there with him and appreciating this moment. And I remember seeing every dad sitting with a brown bag lunch with their child like this on their phone. And I went, oh my God, that was me. That was me. I used to have a BlackBerry. I used to have an iPhone. This was about Luke. It was about his half hour. He doesn't need to know that you should all be about work. For 30 minutes, I left my phone in the car. And I had this better understanding of living in the moment. But what I started to do is I started to write. And I started to share my perspective and my optimism, my understanding of life. And I did that for myself. For all the positivity that I was sharing with people, there's a negative component to it. So what would happen is 5 days later, I found out I had a very severe case of cancer, grade 3 astrocytoma, and I would go on chemo and radiation. And as I was taking this on, I realized that I needed a catharsis. I needed an outlet. So I started to write and share it with friends and family. I would email it out. And when I started chemotherapy, it was a lot tougher than I thought. I was put in my place very quickly. And I told them that I was going to appreciate life and I wanted to go do what I was going to do. I know I'm going to have to come home early and get tired and all that stuff, but I want to live and I want to appreciate things because who knows when this is going to end. And for radiation, that hit me pretty hard. But I used to go in for the 7:10 meeting, 7:10 radiation session every day. They were 10 minutes long and there was a woman going before me at 7 o'clock. And when she would go in, she was emaciated in her 70s, weighed about 50 pounds. She was 4'11". Her son would hold her arm while they brought her in. She would go in the radiation tube. She would come out and they would bring me in. And I'll never forget one day they come up to me. They go, Mr. Newman, she's going to be done today. Would you like the 7 a.m. time? I said, absolutely. I'd love that. I'll go as early as you can. This is me. This is my life. They said, what we do is we have a ceremony. When someone finishes radiation, we ring gongs, we say prayers, and we sing songs. Would you like to join us? I said, I'm okay. Just come get me when you're ready. And I opened my iPad up that I was doing work, and I saw this reflection of who do you think you are? We're a family of warriors. We're supposed to be there to support each other. And I walked outside, and I saw this woman who was headed down a very bad path. I saw her go to hit that gong. And I saw the strongest person I've ever seen. And I just started to cry. And I realized what strength was about enjoying that moment. That was hers. And I wrote about it and I sent it out and I emailed it. Within 4 years of me writing, we had 20,000 people following our email. Ladies and gentlemen, people are attracted to connection, to realness. They want to know they're not alone on the path. And I learned that cancer is like buying a car. You buy a car, you leave the lot, you see it everywhere. The reality is the car was always there. You just never noticed it, so you had a direct connection. That's how it was with cancer. Every day, Matt, could you put this person on it, that person on it? And I wrote for myself. I did it for me because it made me feel better. It was like vomit. And I realized that all these people were dealing with it, and they wanted support. They wanted realness. They didn't want COVID updates. They didn't want market updates. They wanted to know ideas and tools and strategies they could utilize because they've dealt with them in their real life before. And 4 years into it, I decided I was going to write a book. Going to write a book for me. It made me feel better. And on March 23rd, 2018, my mother called me and she goes, Matt, when's the book come out? I go, tonight, Mom. She goes, you know, no one's ever going to buy it, right? I go, no one cares about me. She goes, but you're going to put 3 copies in your safe. So when your children are old enough, they'll be able to really understand what really happened and the severity of it. I said, Mom, I couldn't agree with you more. And 4 days later, we were #1 in 4 different areas on Amazon. And I started to have a better understanding of what people want. They want to connect. They want some type of distinct friendship that's built where trust is there. Our job as advisors is to be leaders, to let them know we have you, we have the plan, follow us into battle. And what it allowed us to have a better understanding of is not talking about alphas and deltas. They don't buy the products we sell, they buy us. So as this whole change started to happen, we started to be on ESPN, we were doing TED Talks. You realize this is what people wanted, but that transposes to the webinar system. This change in life of how we could do these webinars and be more efficient and connect with people is sharing realness, finding out about their dreams, finding out about their aspirations, finding out what diseases have been in their family, and being able to give somebody some type of good news, some type of plan that addresses what they're going through rather than selling the product. We started to speak all over the country. We would get asked by advisors, and we're flying all over the place to speak because they didn't want to hear static presentations. They wanted to hear something that showed them why they needed to do planning, why they needed to have some type of plan in place, why insurance, wills were important, but not from a sales perspective, from the perspective of real stories that made sense to them. And once that started to happen, life became different. And we understand that people buy people. They buy them to help them be there when things are bad and give them good news. It helps us maintain multi-generational assets. And more importantly, it allows us to let others know that we are truly there for you at the deepest and darkest of times. By adding this to your webinars, by adding it to your client relationships, by sharing books, by sharing stories, by addressing things for children, doing things that are personal, you will hit the heartstrings at possibly the greatest opportunity we will ever see. Thank you very much, everybody, for giving me a few moments today.
Thank you, Matt. Wow, what an inspiring, inspirational story. It's amazing to have people like you helping everybody here. We all know everybody needs foundation, and you're doing a great job spreading the message. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's when we're in times like we're in now, with the pandemic, with the country in unrest, you know, that's when our clients need us the most. And that's what Matt said. You gotta be there for your clients during not just the good times, but especially during the bad times.
That's right. Yep. So I'm Jeff Grail, Mike Thurman, co-founders of White Glove. We're going to be your MCs for today. We're excited to be here with you. Thanks for joining. I just want to make a quick mention. If you're interested to find more information on Matt's story, he wrote an amazing book. It's called Starting at the Finish Line, My Cancer Partner Perspective and Preparation.
All right, well, let's keep things going here. I want to, should I introduce our next speaker?
Absolutely.
Okay. So our next speaker is going to show you all how to get a guaranteed appointment at your virtual event. She currently serves as Vice President of Product Management here at White Glove. And since joining the company in 2018, she's been managing new products and go-to-market strategies. Prior to White Glove, as a certified life and business coach, she ran her own company, Mom Biz Coach, for 12 years, where she turned her focus to working with entrepreneurs just like us and small business owners. She has a serious passion for helping companies and individuals take their business to the next level, and we're so fortunate to have her on our White Glove team.
Absolutely.
So everyone, can you please give me a warm welcome to Lara Galloway. Thank you.
The heart is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck.
Hello, everybody. It is so exciting to be here with you today. I am Lara Galloway, and I am excited to get to follow Matt Newman. That's going to be really, really a tough act to follow. I don't have stories like he does, but I do have some really good things to tell you about and teach you about today that I'm excited to share on behalf of our company. So let's jump right in. This is a virtual event. And I want to talk to you today about how to have a presentation that is going to help compel and engage people and help you figure out how to get one appointment at the end. It's not a bunch of tricks. It's a very strategic and step-by-step pattern that I want to share with you today. So let's just talk very quickly. I want to share with you what we're going to cover in the next 20 to 25 minutes. First, we're going to go over just a little bit about who we are, and then we're going to share all of the stuff that I really want to dig into about the difference between webinars and seminars. There are some differences and there are some things that are the same. So we're going to go into that and make sure you feel comfortable about it so you as an advisor feel great when you're presenting. Lastly, we're going to go through the format, the 6P format, that is all about 6 very actionable steps. They're not hard to apply. I want to make sure that's something that you walk away knowing how to do. And it's not a big challenge. I want to make sure that you understand from the outset that what we're trying to accomplish here is just help you give a better presentation, help you be a more compelling presenter, help you understand how to do what the different things are that you need to do. If you've been used to doing live seminars, or maybe you haven't been doing live seminars, maybe this is new for you and you want to jump right in and do virtual. And this is an awesome time for that. So I want to make sure you learn how to do that. And I also want to make sure that you have a strategic step, a really secret weapon in your back pocket that teaches you how to get a guaranteed appointment. This is going to be really powerful for those of you. We've heard from some of our advisors saying, you know, I just don't know about virtual because I don't know that I can close business online. I don't know that I can have appointments online. You can, and you're going to hear a lot from all the speakers we have today who are experienced and who have tried some of these very basic steps, but are getting great results. So I want to go through that for you right now. You know, I want to share just quickly who I am. As I was introduced, I am heading up our product management team. I am studying a lot under Evan, our CEO, who you are going to get to hear a lot more from in just a little bit. But with all of the knowledge that he brought over from his previous companies about what it takes to do really great online training, I've had some really big ears, and I've been taking a lot of that and applying it. But I also come by a lot of this information honestly. What I'm doing with you today is what I did for about 12 years, either presenting live in webinars to my clients who are all over the world, or talking to them on a telephone. And I know what it means to have to build rapport with somebody. I know it can be done. It's not as hard as you think, and I want to share with you how we're going to do that today. So let's get down to business. Seminar, webinar, potato, potato. You know, we say, you've heard the saying that people who, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail means that you're looking through things through a lens and everything looks the same. It's time to make sure that the lens we're looking through can see some differences. And I want to go over those differences for you today. If you can see the differences between seminars and webinars and you can make some simple adjustments, you're going to have an amazing presentation and you're going to have great results. And one of the biggest things you've got to do, that one of the biggest differences, is engaging your audience. So let's talk about how to do that. I said webinars and seminars have differences and similarities. One of the big differences is that this is a new normal, right? We've talked about it being a new normal, like working from home and managing with kids and dogs and whatever in the background, and having to talk to your clients like this and build that rapport with them by looking deep into their eyes in the webcam is the best you can do, right? Maybe learning how to meet with them virtually, because even as our venues do open up, we do have some hosts who are booking with us now in live venues. But even as they open up, there's a whole new opportunity for webinars. Because guys, some people really appreciate this opportunity to not have to go in, to not have to meet with you in person for whatever reason. They may be scared, they may have somebody at home who is, you know, immunocompromised, whatever it is. People are approaching life differently today. And one of the things that we can do with webinars is really seize on some of the differences and some of the new opportunities that are available for people who actually would not come meet us in person right now, either for an educational seminar or for an in-person office visit with you. So this is a great new opportunity, not just a new normal, but a new opportunity. It's also a very new user experience. right? One of the things that as an advisor, you know, when you've got a room full of people in front of you and you can walk back and forth across the stage, you're an engaging presence, right? When you're doing this in a webinar, you've got to stay in front of your camera like I'm doing right now. And by the way, I'm trying to model all of the things that we're trying to teach as good presentation skills. I'm making sure I've got good lighting, I'm using my hands, I'm trying to be interactive so that you keep paying attention, right? These are some of the things that you have to learn to do as a presenter in a webinar. You have to be an educator, of course you do, but you also sometimes have to be an entertainer. And that is one of the things we want to talk about today. All of the stuff that you have to do when you're doing a webinar is to build engagement. People can click off or look away from your presentation at any time, right? And when you're in a live seminar situation, it's a little bit harder for people to show that they're distracted or not interested or to, you know, kind of wander off a little bit. They don't usually just get up and walk out in the middle of your presentation because that's pretty rude. But that's not the case on a webinar. People can absolutely tune out if you're not doing enough to keep them engaged. So there's some different tactics that I want us to try, but I want you to think about for this whole presentation, what we're talking about is helping you manage that user experience, making sure that you use some techniques to build engagement that's going to help keep your audience engaged and wanting to listen to you more. So that's one of the differences, is that you have to do a lot of engaging. But one of the things that stays the same, whether you're doing a seminar or a webinar, is education, right? And any of you who've worked with us before, if you've done seminars and webinars with us, you know one of the things that we practice a lot and that we preach to our clients is making sure that they remember when you show up and you go to a library or a community college or a community center, or when you do a webinar with us, your job is not to be a salesperson. You know, I think Matt made so many amazing points, like, yes, as an advisor, you're selling yourself, but you're not actually always trying to pitch people and always trying to sell. You're selling yourself by how you show up. You're selling yourself by the education you provide. You're selling yourself by the stories and by the ability to relate to people. And that is absolutely still the case, whether you're doing webinars or seminars. So it is important that you are engaging and compelling, that you do share some good stories like Matt did. I mean, his stories really resonated, right? Not all of us have been through the experiences he's been through. In fact, I think that's one of the things that makes him so unique and why it's so compelling to listen to his story. But he had a beautiful way of attaching that and talking to his clients about it, saying, you know, my dad asked me, do I have all my boxes checked? Am I practicing what I preach? No, I wasn't, right? And then he had to do that. So he's able to tell stories as an advisor to help relate and to help educate. It makes the education hit home. Whether you're doing a webinar or a seminar, it's always going to be important to make sure you continue educating your clients and being able to relate to them, building that rapport so that they feel comfortable talking to you about the really important things that matter in their lives. So education is certainly important. But hey, it helps if you can also have a sense of humor. And one of the things that we find a lot of our advisors doing these days with their webinars is they do something silly or something funny in the middle of it. They may host a poll and ask people what is their favorite donut or what's their favorite kind of pizza. And it's just a little something to kind of get people going, because a sense of humor, a little bit of warmth and rapport, something that's not all about education, not all about financial statements, is helpful. So this lady obviously will need your help a bit more than some of your other clients. So hopefully your clients are better at their advice seeking than this woman. All right, so I want you to think through with a webinar, I want you to think through how you can use technology to your advantage. I mean, some people are, as we said, are not going to attend the in-person events because they feel nervous about it. They're just not ready to go back out and circulate, right? And think, your demographic, guys, your demographic is part of the group that is needing to stay isolated and away from other people a lot of the time. That's just where we are today. And if that's the case, we want to make sure that you can reach them. Technology is a fantastic way to do that. Let's just think through some of the things that technology makes, puts into your advantage. First and foremost, if people are signing up for your webinar, but they're not able to attend for whatever reason, you can send them the recording of your webinar. They get to see the whole thing. They appreciate that. That's not the case when you're doing a live seminar. If they don't come, then you try to talk to them about maybe having a one-on-one in-person conversation with you, right? But this is beautiful. With a webinar, you're going to record just like we're doing this right now, and you're going to have that recording, and then you can make that recording available to everybody. It's just a click of a button. It's really easy. There's also some tools and technology that are really fun. You can use things like polls, and you can use the chat, as many of you are making very good use of right now. There's chat, there's Q&A, you can ask questions, you can have somebody help you. If you're presenting, you can have a moderator, as I do today, as all of our speakers do today, who is monitoring the chat box, monitoring the Q&A, making sure that we are able to keep up with those people. And when you're running your presentation, if people are asking questions about, what's an RMD, should I roll over my 401k, IRA, or Roth, whatever they're asking about, you could have an assistant that gives some light coaching to them, like, hey, that's a great question. If there's a quick answer, you give it. Otherwise, you say, you know what, we would love to meet with you in person and answer that for you. And, in a private one-on-one consult. So you can use the tools that are built into your technology platform. And of course, at White Glove, because we're all done for you, and you'll hear more about that from Evan later, we can help you. We will have a web concierge online with you. If you don't feel comfortable doing the tech yourself, you can still use it by having someone support you in doing it. But this is a big advantage over live events. There's so many things you can do to actually find out what people are interested in and what they need to know from you, because they will put it in the chat box or the Q&A. And that's great for you to follow up on even after your presentation, because you can hear from them like, oh, several people were really, in that pre-retirement age. I thought everybody was going to be already retired, but it turns out I had a whole bunch of people in the audience who were in pre-retirement. So I'm able to kind of tailor my response to them. And when I call them and ask them for an appointment, I'm able to say to them, hey, I know you asked about, that rollover over your 401k. I'd be happy to discuss it with you. So use technology to your advantage. All right. I just wanted to kind of give a bit of a mindset about using technology and understanding some of the differences that we teach our clients between webinars and seminars. But now I just want to go through the 6 steps to make sure that you know what you can do right now to make a better webinar presentation. The very first thing is, I kind of demonstrated this at the beginning. You want to build rapport and credibility in under 2 minutes. Now guys, you don't want to overplay this. Nobody wants to hear your whole litany of everything that you've ever done, of all the acronyms that come after your name. Keep it high level, keep it relevant. After all, you're going to have follow-ups with them. You've got emails, you can send this stuff out. Your signature line in your email is going to do great at conveying a whole bunch of that extra information. They don't need to hear it all up front. I actually was helping a client who had a presentation that he had been giving for years with great success in live seminars. And when he converted that over to webinars, the truth is he didn't actually convert it very much at all, okay? He basically took his same presentation and then sat in front of a webcam and talked to it for about an hour. It wasn't the best approach to a webinar, I can tell you that. There were some differences. And one of the things that he didn't do is that very quick building of rapport at the beginning. In fact, his second page of his slide was a wall of words of disclosures. And so the first 5 minutes of his presentation, he wasted with a wall of words of disclosures, which doesn't build rapport for anybody, I'm pretty sure. We definitely need to have those out there, but we don't want to have that as our opening, right? We want to talk about why what we're talking about today is relevant to the audience and why we're an expert and can speak on it. The next thing you want to just think about is, as an attendee, I need to know what I'm getting from you, right? And so if you remember, I threw up a slide that said, here's what we're going to cover today. And I gave you an estimate of about how much time we were going to spend on it, right? This helps your attendee know what to expect. It helps them manage their expectations, helps them stay engaged, because maybe you put something on that agenda that's in the middle that they're really interested in, right? So you want to make sure that you're setting expectations in this webinar. One of the best practices we always say for our advisors is let people know this presentation is a 2-part presentation. And this right now is part 1. I'm doing a group presentation. Part 2 is when I will be following up with you after the call today, after the webinar today, I'm going to call you and I'm going to offer you the opportunity to set an appointment with me so that we can go over one-on-one whatever your concerns are. That setting that expectation and planting that seed early is going to serve you as an advisor. It helps us as attendees get used to what's coming next. It helps us to think forward into the future, and you are the director of where our thinking goes. So you want to set expectations and make sure you let people know what's coming next. Another great tool I mentioned in technology that is so fun is that you can actually do some cool things to assess the baseline knowledge of your people, right? Maybe, like I said, maybe when I first logged on to my webinar that I was presenting as an advisor, perhaps I thought everybody was going to already be retired, right? Maybe I was presenting on Social Security and I thought everybody was going to already be retired. I can pop a little poll up right at the beginning and I can say, hey, how close are you to retirement? And I can list up 3 or 4 options. Are you already retired? Are you less than 2 years from retirement? Are you 2 to 5 years from retirement? Or are you 5 years out? Okay. And I can ask people to kind of give me those answers. They can do that in real time on a webinar. And again, if you're not techie, don't worry. Your web concierge can totally help you launch that poll and get the results. The results come in real time. You can see, oh, wow, looks like a bunch of you aren't even close to retirement yet. You're about 5 years out. You know what, guys, that's really helpful to me. I'll make sure that I tailor the presentation today to address your needs. I have stuff that I could talk about for people who are already retired, but since you guys are on the call today, I'm going to make sure that I tailor that presentation. This is going to be so helpful, and it is going to absolutely build your credibility and your rapport. And it's going to be fun for your audience because they enjoy having that opportunity to engage. And this is like an example of a sample poll. You know, do you know what an RMD is? Do you know when you're supposed to start taking it? If you're using a poll, it's going to give you, again, that chance to kind of assess where people are. It's going to give them an opportunity to interact instead of getting bored looking away from their computer, right? And here's a pro tip, by the way. When you're telling people to do the poll, you can absolutely use the technology that's built into several of the webinar platforms that are out there. You can also just post something on screen like this and say, hey, just pop me an answer in the chat box and I'll see your answers, or put it in the Q&A box, whatever. You don't have to go high tech to actually use the tech. And you get really valuable information that you can follow up on while you're in the presentation. If a moderator is helping read that for you, it's super helpful. Or you can follow up afterwards because it'll say, you know, Shirley asked, what is an RMD? And then when you're doing your follow-up calls for part 2 of your presentation, you're able to reach out and say, hey, Shirley, you asked this on the webinar. I'm so glad you did. It is a bit of a complicated thing. I'd love to explain it to you. Should we set up a time for us to have a discussion one-on-one? Okay, it's a great tool. Another pro tip, you want to make sure that you use people's first names. So when you run the poll and you start seeing the results coming up in the poll feature or in the chat or the Q&A, use the first name. Shirley, I saw that your question about the RMD. You're not alone. By the way, with most of the webinar platforms and the way we do things at White Glove, the attendees, the participants, the learners, they cannot see each other and they cannot see each other's questions, chats, or responses. That's available only to you. Okay, so they won't see different things, but you will. So that's super helpful to know. All right. Step 4, moving right along, you want to make sure that your core knowledge presentation, this is the meat of the thing. I've just pulled this from our taxes and retirement topic that we do all the time. There are about 10 key items that we have to teach in this presentation. One of the things that is helpful for you as the presenter when you're creating your presentation is to say, okay, I've got 10 major points I want to have. I'm going to have a few introductory slides, right? Like we talked about, introducing yourself and building rapport. And I've got some closing slides, maybe some next steps, maybe some calls to action. You want to make sure that your core presentation moves along. You've got at least 10 slides, maybe one slide per topic is a rule of thumb. So as you're covering changes, changes and concerns facing in retirement, you have a slide that talks about that. By the way, the slide shouldn't have 1,000 words on it, maybe just a few. Pictures are good, graphics are good. The whole thing here that we're doing today, your graphics, your visuals are your webcam and your presentation. So your slide deck is really important, and you want to make sure that you keep moving through it as you go along. So 1 or 2 slides, making it change so people don't keep, like I had another advisor who had the same slide, and it was really important. It was a really great graph that explained, just, I don't know, distributions over time, something like that. And it was really, really amazing expertise, valuable information. But guys, he left it on screen for 5 solid minutes. Nobody can focus on deep numbers and graphs and get something out of it for 5 solid minutes. You're the expert. That may be comfortable for you. It is not comfortable for your attendees. These people are looking for help, and if you give them something that just stands there and bores them to tears for 5 minutes because it's really dense as a graphic, you're not doing yourself a service, and you're not doing them a service. You got to break your slides down and make it easier for people to understand. Again, we talked also about the pre-poll to test and see what baseline knowledge that your attendees have. Another step number 5, is doing a post-poll. So we want to just kind of see, after you've shared the content, the main content, like I was doing from taxes and retirement, after you've gone through those 10 major points, you want to check in and see, did people get what I'm talking about, right? You want to use those first names, like you want to pop up another poll. You want to say, hey, Fred, looks like you're right on the money. That's awesome. That is exactly when you should start taking an RMD. You've got it. And, let people know that you're paying attention to what they're saying in those polls. Show them that you're paying attention to what they learn. And this is going to make them pay attention to you. So again, one of the things that you want to be prepared for as we go through the 6 steps, the 6P format for webinars, you want to make sure that you've got a good close. And I'll demonstrate something for you now. I've been talking pretty rapidly. I've been going through things fairly rapidly. But one of the things you do as a presenter when you're getting ready to make a really strong point, and as you're going towards your close, is to slow down, like I'm doing now. You take your voice down, you take your pace down. People will start leaning in because you've just changed your pace and the sound, okay? This is a really good time for you to be building and making that impact. You're getting ready to close the webinar. What do you want to happen at the end of the webinar? You want them to book an appointment, right? You want them to think, oh my God, this is just the person I need to meet with. I feel like I'm so lucky that I came here today. I learned all of this great information. So let's talk a little bit about how to set up that close. Again, as a presenter, you're going to slow down. You're going to reiterate some of your most important, most compelling points. And then you want to start talking about your call to action. I want to rewind for a second and make sure that you remember we talked about setting expectations. If you have a call to action, if you know there's something that you want these people to do at the end of your webinar, and you should have a call to action. It should be a part of your close. You want to make sure you set that expectation up front. You want to make sure that you say, and at the end of this webinar, I will be calling you and I will be setting up appointments with each of you. Or you want to say, and this is part 1 of a 2-part webinar. This is the group presentation, part 1. And then when I follow up with you and we have our one-on-one session, that'll be part 2. And you can use something really great like a call to action pop-up. We have some webinar platforms where it's a little pop-up box, you've all seen them, a little pop-up box that comes on your screen, and somebody can literally fill in and say, yeah, I want to schedule now. And when they click on that little green button, it's going to take them to the advisor's scheduler, like Calendly or some of the other tools that are out there that are mostly free or very inexpensive, that link directly to your calendar so somebody can book an appointment. It's awesome. Make sure that you mention your call to action several times. I would say at least 2, maybe 3, up to 4 times during your presentation, so people know that you're going to be telling them, hey, you can schedule an appointment with me. Hey, we're going to have a one-on-one. This is going to benefit you and them, right? So you want to make sure they know about it. And then one of the things that's really cool, when your webinar ends, you want to make sure that you do what you said, right? You want to make sure that you go ahead and make those calls and follow up with everybody. By the way, another pro tip, don't just call the people who attended your webinar. Call them first. okay? And look at your chat and your Q&A and your polls, read all the transcripts, which by the way, your White Glove concierge will get all of that data, all the transcripts, send it to you along with a recording of your webinar afterwards, okay? And you can read through, oh yeah, Shirley's the one that asked about the RMD. Oh yeah, Fred's the one who knew the right date, all right? So you'll know a little bit about what you're gonna say to these people when you call them. But don't just call the people who attended. You absolutely want to call the no-shows as well. We have advisors who are having amazing success calling the no-shows, the people who registered for the webinar but weren't able to show up for whatever reason. They're calling them and they're setting appointments with the no-shows at a rate that absolutely rivals the appointment setting for those who actually attended. So don't miss out on that. Make sure you do your follow-up. Guys, I am so excited to share with you about this product today. We are about 75, 90 days in to running webinars for White Glove, and these stats make my heart sing. I mean, if we say we're 90 days into it, 91 days ago, we weren't doing webinars at all. So these stats are amazing. I am so proud. All of us here at White Glove are so proud that we've been able to make this pivot and really help you guys reach people where they're at. Really help people know how to get in touch with the financial advice, as Matt was saying earlier, that they really, truly need, right? They can reach out, they can connect with you. They are searching for this information. They need someone to help make sense of the crazy stock market and all of the options that are coming for them in retirement. You guys, we are having such good success. We're doing a ton of webinars now, and we're getting awesome requests for appointments. This is something that every advisor can benefit from, even if you are still doing live seminars. Again, no commercial here. It's just a great way for you to reach out. So in summary, I just want to say there are a lot more things you can do to up-level your webinars. But if you follow the 6P format, if you follow the 6 steps that I said today, if you keep in mind the difference between seminars and webinars, and then if you keep in mind the similarities, certain things do not change. You are still an educator. You still have to develop that warm rapport. If you do these things, you will absolutely see your appointment setting rates go up. We are here to help you. We are excited for you on this journey. It is an awesome opportunity for you to take advantage of. Thanks so much for your time today. I'm Lara Galloway.
Thank you, Lara. That was fantastic. That's awesome. Great tips. Something our hosts can really use, whether they use White Glove or don't use White Glove, doesn't really matter. So we actually have hosts that are using some of these methods that we teach. We do practice what we preach. I still have a financial advisory practice. And last week alone, we had a host with a 70% appointment rate. And we had another one with 60%. So why don't you, I think Jeff's going to introduce our next speaker.
I am. I'm really excited. We have a second Lara, which is pretty awesome. This is the Vice President of Growth and Brand Marketing at Ruby Receptionist.
By the way, who decided to put Lara right after Lara?
I love it.
Oh,
I love it. Lara squared. It's Lara Compton. As the leader of Ruby's growth and brand marketing team, Lara is transforming Ruby into a multi-dimensional company, generating awareness of its products, offering among small businesses, and ensuring growth throughout meaningful human connections. And they do an amazing job marketing. I'm sure you've heard the commercials. I just heard one the other day, but it's an amazing company because it's one of those companies where you're like, why didn't I think of that? It's simple, but it's so much needed. There's especially financial advisors. We talk to so many that it's just them and their wives or whatever, and to be able to have somebody that can answer the phone and make that initial first connection would be awesome. So it's great concept. Their commercial, they put, we build conversations into relationships. And I love that.
Very cool.
Love it. So before joining Ruby, Lara led the North American demand generation team at Cheetah Digital. And that's the world's largest independent enterprise cross-channel marketing technology company. Say that 5 times.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know. I just did it. There she launched an innovative account-based marketing program, aligning sales and marketing teams in consistently exceeding the pipeline quota. So today, Lara, she's going to be helping us reach across the digital divide and create experiences that truly count for your customers. And it's definitely a skill that's never been more crucial than it is today. So I would love to welcome Laura.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I am super excited to be here, and I too cannot believe that I am following up on after another Laura. It's very rare, if not never, that I've been in a back-to-back webinar with two Lauras. But I wanted to thank the White Glove team for inviting me to speak, and to all of you for taking the time to join us as we discuss driving demands, closing deals, and exceeding expectations. Three of my favorite topics. As stated previously, my name is Laura Compton, and I am the VP of Growth and Brand Marketing at Ruby, where it is my job to drive demand and deliver exceptional customer experiences as we support our SMB businesses with virtual receptionists and chat specialists. I am going to advance my slides here. Today we are going to be taking a look at why personal connections are key to building relationships with our clients and ultimately your business. We've built our 17-year-old business by going above and beyond to exceed our customers as well as your customers' expectations. We call this practicing wowism in our office. And today we'll give you some tips and tricks that will help you create the same quality experiences. But first, we'll talk about how the world has shifted, similar to how Laura had already previously explained, why every touch point is more important than ever before, the role personal connections play in closing deals, and we'll wrap by taking a deeper dive into adjustments you can make to your business to optimize for wowism. All right, let's get started here. I don't know about all of you, but 2020 has already been a roller coaster for me. January started with my team on track to deliver its fourth straight month exceeding pipeline quota with an average of 114% to goal. And the trend continued in February and beyond. In early March, I made the move to Ruby and things started off great. Plenty of pipeline, deals converting, happy customers. And then March 16th happened. Terms like COVID, stay-at-home orders, social distancing, mandatory work from home, PPP loans became the new norm. In one day, the collective we went from business as usual to business unusual. And at Ruby, our approach to serving our customers and attracting new prospects shifted ever so slightly. We've always been about supporting SMBs and delivering exceptional customer experiences. But the pandemic allowed us to recommit to helping our SMB community survive and thrive. For us, as well as many of you, our customers, and I'm sure many of you in this audience, the pandemic meant a drastic shift in how business gets done. In-person meetings were replaced with hours upon hours of back-to-back Zoom calls. Seminars and events were replaced with virtual symposiums and webinars. And a few of us gained coworkers, from partners working next to us in home offices to children sharing our screens and fur babies warming our feet. But despite all of this, one thing has remained steadfast for all of us. Our customers still need us. As financial advisors, the SMBs that you support still need you. Those that have reached retirement, those that are investing in their, starting their investment journey, they all still need your support. You may just need to shift where, when, and how you support them. Enter the value of being accessible. First and foremost, we can't make those personal connections if we don't actually connect with our customers. We are living in an age of automation, and it is amazing what technology can do today to make our lives easier. And you've probably found yourself especially grateful for what technology can do and help you as of late. But too much technology and not enough human interaction is certainly a reality, and it can frustrate the buying process. People want to buy from people. When someone makes a purchase with your business, regardless of what that is, This decision is driven by positive experiences they have had with you directly or encouraging, gushing reviews left by your customers. While leveraging technology to better your business is table stakes, doing so in a way that replaces live human connection rather than empowering it is a mistake. Even if in this era of automation, technology alone cannot successfully win and woo new prospects or make loyalists out of your existing customer base, especially right now, when the tech fatigue is real and we're all looking for a healthy dose of humanity. Let's take a look at the channels we generally get to play with to attract, convert, and retain customers. I've broken these channels down into what marketers like to call owned, paid, and earned. Owned channels are easy to understand. These are the channels that we as businesses are in charge of developing. This can be your brick and mortar location, our websites, or our social media channels. Paid channels are the channels we have to pay for in order to use. This is our TV ads, our sponsored events, and display ads. And finally, there is earned channel, which is where PR and reviews dominate. Owned, paid, and earned channels has always been in play, but the prioritizations and roles have been changing over the past few years. And during the past 3 months, these changes have accelerated. I want to focus your attention to the items in white on the left side of your screen. Notice that these are all owned channels. Online webinars, podcasts, virtual office hours, social, digital, digital, digital. The shift to digital has been underway for some time, but the pandemic has only accelerated that shift. It is critical that we take some time to assess where and when each one of these touch points fits in our new marketing funnel and sales cycle, and optimize these touch points for their dominant role, whether it be awareness, conversion, or retention in our unique businesses. For instance, with no or limited ability to attract and see our customers in person, our website and social media channels have become our new storefronts. Zoom meetings and webinars have become our handshake, and phone calls and web chats have become our congratulatory hugs. Beyond just digital, these owned channels all result in one of 3 human connections. Whether you are optimizing your content strategy to improve your SEO and gain more website traffic, hosting 10 webinars a month to drive awareness, or offering daily virtual office hours to support your customers, every one of those touch points leads to a call, a chat, or an email, as well as the expectation that the call, chat, or email will be answered with a timely and well-informed response. The ways in which customers and prospects are able to connect with businesses are constantly proliferating. But despite the growing number of communication channels, 65% of your potential customers want to reach you by phone. I want to repeat that again. 65% of your potential customers want to reach you by phone. And statistically speaking, 29% of those calls will lead to a purchase. So what happens when you miss a phone call? Or worse yet, when someone calls you but they don't have a good experience? This can impact your customer relationships and ultimately your bottom line. Same goes with your online presence. People are using their phones to access information, especially younger buyers today. They want information and they want it now. Do you have a website strategy? Are you spending money on marketing campaigns such as online search and paid social only to have visitors of your site not able to get their questions answered? Buyers are going to your website and expect to have a great experience there. Website chat can be a great way to connect with your online visitors. Research tells us that businesses see a 40% conversion rate when engaging via online chat backed by a real person. You can't connect with prospects if they don't have a way to reach you. So how many potential clients are you losing to voicemail or by not meeting your prospects online? What do you stand to gain by simply being accessible and ready to connect? As you think about your business and the way customers might meet you, I want you to now think about what the value of that misconnection is. There are different ways to look at this. How much revenue do you stand to lose by losing one customer to voicemail? How much money have you spent on your marketing to get customers to call or visit your website? What about referral business from the customer that you weren't able to win because you weren't there when they wanted to connect? I know we all talk about money here, so let's get into the numbers. If you get 10 calls a day, are you answering all of them? Are you answering none of them? Even if 30% of your calls are from new clients and you win that business 30% of the time, just answering half your calls could mean an extra sale a day. What if that revenue is in a single customer is $2,000? If you are able to answer and capture prospects 100% of the time, 10 calls can yield $5,800 a day in revenue. In capturing 2.9 sales calls a day and answering 100% of them, a business stands to win over $1 million a year in new business. This amount is sliced in half if a business is only answering 50% of their calls, with 2,900 closed sales a day equaling about $700,000 a year in revenue. Picking up the phone not only impacts the number of sales calls you capture, it also colors the perception of your customer service. And when so many buying decisions hinge on a word of mouth and customer reviews, the seemingly simple act of answering the phone can be a difference in growing your business. I hope I'm encouraging you to answer your phone. Make the effort to make the connection. The phone can make the prospects feel heard, will grow, trust, and win you new business. And all of the above is also true with online chat as well. Every connection lends itself as an opportunity to grow your business. Humans are wired for social connection. Connection fosters customer satisfaction, which improves employee morale, which boosts customer service, which reinforces connection. You get the idea. But aside from actually answering the phone, how do you go about connecting with your customers? Every interaction between a customer and your business is a chance to wow, to maximize your opportunities to provide excellent service. Review your customer journey step by step and consider what factors might be ripe for improvement. Keep in mind that we're not necessarily talking about big changes. Seemingly minor tweaks to details such as word choice can delight and earn trust from prospects and current clients alike. Let's talk about how you can improve customer touchpoints. The answer is surprisingly simple: delivering exceptional customer experiences. Here at Ruby, we keep ourselves laser focused and dedicated to creating great customer experiences. And it's those human connections that have aided in the growth of the companies we serve. In going above and beyond for callers and website visitors, we're forging a relationship of trust between a prospect and the company they are engaging. There are 4 areas in particular where you can impact change almost immediately to go above and beyond, deliver more meaningful connections, that wowism we discussed earlier. Phone calls are rife with opportunities to wow. Start with the basics. The faster a caller connects with another human being who's able to help, the better. While opting for an automated phone tree can be tempting, these typically fail to leave a good impression. Nothing can substitute for a live professional ready to engage your callers. Look for cues about a caller's emotions and adapt. Speak jovially with a customer in a good mood. Empathize with a customer who's having a rough day. Pay close attention to offhand remarks, as they may signal unspoken wants, needs, or questions you can fulfill for your caller later. Next up, your website. Even for those businesses who have traditionally relied on their brick and mortar shop, websites have become the new front door to your business. And it should wow each and every visitor. In addition to optimizing speed, responsiveness, and accessibility, use copy and design elements that reflect your brand and mission. Consider making yourself accessible via your homepage by implementing a live chat service to increase lead capture and connectivity without compromising your customer service experience. Embrace digital. If you were a friendly, charismatic person in person and in seminars, that same charisma will transcend into the digital world. Transition your presentations into webinars, leveraging all those amazing tips and tricks that Laura just reviewed. Host virtual office hours. Heck, even try chocolate tasting or happy hours with your prospects. Your sales cycles might get slightly longer because they'll be happening a little bit more frequently, but on a shorter cadence. But virtual sessions and with virtual sessions and meetings, you'll do just fine. But you will still build lasting customer relationships if you make it approachable, fun, engaging, authentic, and human. Geographic limitations are no longer limitations. In many industries, including with financial advisors, physical proximity helped to establish trust with prospects and customers alike. But in a digital-first world, you can build trust from a variety of locations as long as you set up your infrastructure for success. So you can take your customer inquiries on their time. Customers can read blogs at 10 p.m., watch webinars at midnight, and reach out to make an appointment at 2 a.m. Will you be there to respond? Leveraging virtual receptionists, chat specialists, and tools like Google My Business can ensure you are there for your prospects and customers when they need you. Regardless of what channels you use to communicate with your customers, a successful relationship is built upon a foundation of trust. So if you have heard anything today, I hope it's to be there for your customers. Answer the phone, be online, and do it in a friendly, professional, and personal way. I know that's easier said than done, and of course at Ruby, that is what we live and breathe every day. Our service starts with our people, and we strive to win new business with each and every caller and website visitor. Ruby's award-winning and friendly virtual receptionists and live chat specialists make thousands of stellar first impressions every single day on behalf of owners, business owners just like you. We act as an extension of your team. Your callers and visitors will never know that we aren't sitting there by your side. Our technology allows us to personalize our interactions with your customers, so we answer the phone exactly the way you want us to. And Ruby Chat provides personalized, live online conversations that are customized specifically for your business and what your website visitor is asking. Our focus with our live chat service is to help you drive new customer acquisition. So we provide monthly reporting that helps you track the ROI of your investment. In survey to our customer base earlier this year, our clients found an on average 40% increase in lead generation by adding chat to their website. We believe in the power of personal connections because our customers see results when they invest in their customers' experience. But I know numbers matter to this audience. So in providing a consistently exceptional quality care of Ruby, the majority of our customers cited a 20% increase in new biz. They reclaim an average of 10 hours per month, report an 84% increase in their customer satisfaction, and get 2 to 3x return on their investment with Ruby. These numbers tell a story of growth, but most importantly, our customers across the board say it's the human connections we provide that allow them to have peace of mind with Ruby on their side. Thank you so much for your time today. It has been a pleasure to be with you in honor of White Glove's inaugural Host University Virtual Edition. We have a special offer for all attendees and registrants interested in having Ruby make personal connections on behalf of your business. Using the promo code WHITEGLOVE, you will receive a promotion valued at $150. If you sign up by July 15th, 2020, you will receive $50 off your first 3 months of service. Thank you again for your time today.
Thank you, Lara. That was wonderful. Thank you for that offer. That's terrific. I'll tell you what, we have a really exciting lineup coming up this afternoon, later this afternoon, in just a few minutes. I've been a financial advisor for over 25 years, and whenever I went to any kind of conference, by far the best part of the conference was when I had a chance to hear from my peers. And that's exactly what we're going to do when we come back from break. Dean Thurman, our other co-founder, and my cousin is going to moderate the panel discussion. And then Evan Kramer is going to come back on and talk about the hidden truths. And then we're saving the best for last. We got Jeremiah Demaray, who is a TED Talk speaker, amazing philanthropist. Really excited about his presentation as well. Of course, we got a lot of great giveaways coming up as well, even better than what we've already had, which is hard to believe. And then we have a tremendous offer, a really special offer that we're going to offer right at the end of Virtual Host University that I'm really excited about.
So don't turn your computers off. Just leave it the way
Stay connected. Stay connected.
Why are you bouncing like that?
I need to go to the bathroom.
You gotta go potty?
Yes. Can we have a break?
I think it's break time.
Is it break time? We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. And again, stay connected, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a chance to take a little potty break, maybe grab a cocktail. That's the beauty of virtual webinars. And for our customers, this is here to stay. People are loving this virtual world that we're moving into. They can stay at home, they're comfortable, they're in their pajamas. It's great, right? So hopefully somebody grabbed a cocktail, at least one of you guys.
I don't plan on standing up. But
yeah, but before, many of you know the story of where White Glove began, but a lot of you probably don't. So I just want to really quick talk about the origin story of White Glove. And started really back in 2014 in the basement of Dean and Mike's financial firm. And this place is pretty close to a dungeon as you can get. There was no lights, no windows. I was stuck in this little room, right? But we had this great idea to create a company that was like no other, and to take all of the work away from the advisor. So it made it very simple. And Dean and Mike, you guys built your practice on seminars for 30 years, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Very successful practice. And what they found was there was a lot of things that they did wrong and a lot of things they did right. So we said, man, there's got to be a different way. There's got to be a better way than a traditional mail house where you spend all that money and then you pay and pray and just hope people come. And we did that. We revolutionized the industry. We created a product, a service that you don't pay until after the event. We do all of the work, and then we guarantee it. Who does that?
Nobody except us.
I know. It was great. Since then, we've literally helped thousands of financial advisors, attorneys, real estate agents, estate planning agents. It's been amazing, and there's so much to come. We have in the works for the end of this year in 2021, some amazing stuff we're talking about that's only going to help you as advisors grow your practice. So I'm very, very excited about it.
So moving on to our next speaker, who happens to be one of the co-founders of White Glove, and my cousin, and his name is Dean Thurman. And I have such a good opportunity here, but I'm going to hold back. I'm going to be professional about this. So, very familiar face to everybody. Nothing brings a twinkle to this man's eye like hearing from White Glove hosts who are reaching incredible heights with their seminars, which is exactly what he's about to do now. He's one of the guys responsible for bringing us together today. He's the original inventor of Virtual Host University, Host University. This is Virtual Host University. We actually do and have done 6 in-person host universities, Naples, Las Vegas, for the last 5 years. In Birmingham, we did one at our home office. So why don't we help me out here and help me give a warm welcome to White Glove co-founder Dean Thurman. Thank you.
Hey man, thanks for the intro. I especially love the walk-up music too. And by the way, Mikey and Jeff, I really miss you guys. I wish I was there. It looks like you're over at Mike Thurman's house. I know that you guys have a cocktail. You're not usually that animated and funny, Usually we're falling asleep. Just kidding. I'm only on my 3rd. Hey, everybody. Like Mike said, not only are we cousins, Jeff and Mike and I, we're all best buddies. We are just amazed at the team of professionals the White Glove has put together, all of our hosts, all of our support, so many people that have made this dream a reality. We just want to say thank you to everybody that's participating in Virtual Host University. I can't believe I'm using that word virtual. At 53 years old, and I'm still a practicing financial advisor. I never thought my whole practice, I never thought our host university and everything would go online. And that's what this whole experience, this 4-hour experience is about, is how we can all survive in the virtual world, and not just survive, but thrive. And so when I was picking up my walk-up music, I was thinking, hey, my favorite bands, right? Red Hot Chili Peppers or Imagine Dragons, maybe even Ozzy Osbourne or Motley Crue or something. And I thought about it, why are we all here? Not only do we serve our communities and help them manage money, whether the times are tough or the times are easy, we're all here investing our money and figuring out ways to invest our money so that we can help those communities. And if we're investing our money, we expect to make money. So really, that's what this host and peer panel is about. We have 4 awesome advisors. Some of them have been with us a long time. They're going to talk to you about the pivot from live seminars to virtual seminars, the pros, the cons, but basically, how can you still make money, bring more assets under management? How can you protect people's money? How can you relate that from a virtual environment, which I was skeptical of? I mean, it's new for me, just like everybody else. I mean, I'm a handshake guy, look in the eye, sometimes hug the clients, all that type of thing. How in the world are we going to be able to do that virtually? And I'm just blown away with what our 4 panelists have been able to achieve. So a little background on myself. Again, Dean Thurman. I've been a financial advisor for 30 years with Mike Thurman at InvestWise Financial in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And I only say that because I think that is more important to the hundreds and hundreds of people that we have on this virtual host university, that I'm your peer, that I'm in the trenches with you. And Mike and I built up now it's over $500 million. Well, I don't know, today the market's down a little bit, so maybe just under $500 million. But we're right around there, about $500 million in money that we manage, along with about 10 support staff and 7 other advisors at InvestWise Financial. And like Matt Newman said, and what an incredible story that was, you have to practice what you preach. So I am your peer. This is my 6th host university. And every time we talk about something from the stage, it's because Mike and I and the other advisors at InvestWise have tried it. We kind of call ourselves the guinea pigs. We perfect it or get as close as we can to it before we bring it out to what we call the rest of the world. So not only do we invest our own personal money the same way we recommend our clients do it, that's business to consumer, but business to business right now, white glove to all of you other advisors out there. We also practice what we preach from a co-founder level. So whether it was, Reminder Media that nurtures our clients with magazines, which is awesome, or Jason Smith with his bucket planning, which all my advisors have been through, and it's been awesome, or these seminars that we've been talking about for all these years. I mean, we've literally done over 1,000 personally, myself and Mike. So we know all the pros and the cons and everything that can go wrong, it will go wrong. And now we're also practicing what we preach by taking our entire practice virtual. And that doesn't just mean meeting with our clients. I mean, I literally met with 2 couples last week virtually that were both in their 80s. And it's going unbelievably well. I'm so excited about that. And for all of you younger advisors out there, man, what an amazing, awesome opportunity it is to go out there and grab market share, like Matt Newman said, that is available to our industry like it's never been before. There are now fewer and fewer financial advisors, but the need has never been greater. More and more people are retiring. As you know, this market volatility is when people need us the most. And one of the disadvantages with live seminars was that, at least us personally, we are, like I said, in Bluefield Hills, Michigan, we kind of have about a 30-minute radius that we could market to for all those years. Now with virtual, we totally have expanded that. So, you know, not only is virtual and digital the now, it's definitely the future. I mean, we were forced into it like everybody else, and we're still learning like everybody else. But that's why I was so excited that our new CEO had such an amazing background with webinars. I mean, what serendipitous timing for him to uproot his family, move to Michigan, and take over a fully live, event coordinating, seminar planning company. And about 2 weeks into his employment here, everything had to go virtual and had to go webinar. So rest assured, there is nobody with more experience, no company out there with both, you know, financial planning industry as well as webinar and digital experience, and our partners than White Glove. If you're looking to go virtual, you have to look no further. A couple notes here. Like I said, we totally practice what we preach, and not only is White Glove, here to serve all of you and serve it now virtually, but InvestWise Financial has moved all of our seminars to virtual. So Kelly Boyd will be part of the panel. I know many of you have spoken to some of our other advisors there that have helped you make the move to virtual. But we've actually done more virtual seminars as a company than anybody else. So we're learning as we go. And one pro tip I want to share before I bring in the panel is that this was a great idea by Mason Goris. We were only getting maybe a handful, 2 or 3 people raising their hands for a follow-up appointment out of 20 attendees. And he said, you know what? Why don't we just call all of them, not even ask them if they want an appointment? And we started calling them directly right after, within 24 hours. In fact, most of them within 2 hours of the virtual event online. And our appointment ratio more than doubled from that, which was awesome. So these are some of the tricks and the best practices and some of the things that we're going to share with you. But we have people from all across the country that I want to introduce. So hopefully they'll be able to turn on their webcam as I call out their name, but stay on mute. As I go around, I'm going to introduce each of the 4 of you. Turn on your webcam, keep it on mute, and then we're going to circle back. I'm going to turn the microphone over to each and every one of you, and I want you to be honest. I want you to be raw. My favorite part of all these industry conferences as a financial advisor is not hearing from the owners or the founders of the company, not hearing from this annuity company or that insurance company or mutual fund company or managed money platform. It's hearing from my peers. So that is an extremely important part of all of our host universities. We don't pay any of these people to attend. They just have an abundance mentality, whereas let's share, let's grow together. There's plenty for everybody. So the first one I'd like to bring up, if you could turn on your webcam, is Kurt Stahl. Kurt, can you say hey to everybody? What's up, Kurt? Or wave, yeah. Thank you. Kurt, when we come back to him, he's going to tell us about that he begrudgingly started virtual seminars, and he told Natalie, his account executive, that hey, as soon as Florida opens back up, I'm going live. And so he started doing them live again. So we don't know if he's going to stay virtual or not. He can tell us a little bit about that. We have Curtis Cottle. Curtis, could you flip on there, buddy? Hey, there you go. Oh, I don't know whose hair is better. We're going to have to take a poll. Maybe there's some kind of giveaway there. I haven't had a haircut since March, but March 2020, not 2019, like maybe you, Curtis. Just kidding. Looking good. All right. So Curtis, why we invited him is he has, I guess, a hack or a system that he has an average of 60% appointment requests at his virtual events. He's never had below 50% requests a follow-up appointment with him, and sometimes as high as his highest was 75%. A fellow Michigander, about 2 hours from my office, and he's going to talk to us about how he pivoted from live to virtual and still kept his appointment ratio up high so that he can make some money. And I can't wait to hear. I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you at some point to do a little bit of your opening with the Frank Maselli. We use Frank Maselli as well, and his never before power opening. I mean, virtual is all about engagement, right? You know, live is all about engagement. If you stand up, you can turn your computer back on if you want, Curtis. You can keep your audio or your camera on if you want. But it's all about engagement live. You got to have a personality, right? Same thing with, or even to a larger degree, virtual. So I can't wait to hear Curtis do that. Brad Gatto, who's been around a lot, he's in Minneapolis. Brad, looking good. Can't wait to hear about your wins. We really want to hear about wins, but we also want to hear about losses too. Nothing is more frustrating or smells like BS to any of us advisors. All we ever hear is the good, the good, the good about whatever it is we're talking about, but there's two sides to every story. And Brad, I know that you're doing now, like, you can hold up your hand, is it 4 a month or 6 a month? How many? About 5 virtual events per month. So obviously a lot more wins than losses there. So I want to hear about it, hear a little bit more about that. I know that you've expanded outside of just your state, something you can't do in live seminars, but you can virtually. So we definitely want to hear about that. Kelly Boyd, if you have somebody turn on your camera for you there. Hey, Kelly, how are you? Kelly Boyd, she's one of our advisors at InvestWise Financial. She absolutely kills it. And I was talking to her about a month ago. I said, Kelly, you have so many past seminars and so many leads from back then, you know, and now you're networked with CPAs and estate planning attorneys because of your experience of bringing them in to your seminars over the years, and you've developed a business relationship with them. I said, Kelly, why don't you take a break for a year or two of seminars, don't do any webinars, and just cool it a little bit. And then she gave me some numbers and told me about how she's actually closed a good handful of people just using the white glove virtual seminar system. So I was even surprised by that. I can't wait to hear about that. And like I said earlier, with White Glove, we are a done-for-you company. I mean, there's other companies that do similar things, but nobody else does all the work for you and takes all the risk. And I mentioned a couple other companies earlier that we use, outside vendors, to make InvestWise Financial a powerhouse in our area. And one thing that I noticed was missing and wasn't available out there was our digital presence, both as a company and individuals. There are no, there are no competent, professional, sharp financial advisors out there that don't have a website, or sharp, competent, professional financial advisors out there that don't have, aren't dressed professionally or have a decent office. They just look jank, and they, people don't stick with them. And one thing that I see as clear as day is that our industry is going to need more than that to stay relevant, to have that personal relationship, like we all know is so important. All top producers know that if you're just an asset allocator and a robot, you're going to be replaced by a robo-advisor. You need that personal touch. And there were no other, I'm going back about 1.5 years ago, when I really wanted a strong social media presence. There was no done for you social media management. I wanted to be everywhere. I wanted to be where my clients and my prospects were. And I know they're on Facebook. I know they look for me professionally on LinkedIn. And I didn't know squat about that. And I couldn't pay anybody or find a service that focused on the financial services industry. Kelly uses that. All of us advisors use a social media platform. So we invented it at White Glove. We are now the only fully done for you social media engagement company. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I'll tell you what, if you are not doing social media management, you are missing out. It's going to, within the next year or two, it's going to be like not even having a website. You need to be out there. You need to be on at least those 3 platforms I mentioned. So we started White Glove Social Connect. And if you want to see a demo of that and receive a special, and you're going to hear about this later, but a special virtual host university giveaway on Social Connect, then we're going to want you to just type in the chat SC for Social Connect, SC demo, and then you'll qualify for the special pricing and receive a demo. But if you don't have social media, you need to get it. Whether you use us or do it yourself, you need social media. So I want to hear a little bit about that, Kelly. All right, so now we're going to turn it over to our panel, and I'm going to start with my man, Kurt Stahl, and let's start with the bad. You don't want to do virtual seminars, and so I want to hear about that a little bit. And you turn on your microphone and let her fly.
Yeah, well, that's what I said to Natalie when I found out we could start doing live events again here in Florida. But I got to tell you, since I said that to her about a week or two ago, I've got a reverse course on that, because we closed good new business from that webinar last week and ended up with an ROI of a little above 8 to 1. So for every $1 we spent, we got $8 back. We generated 30,000 in new commissions, over 30,000 in new commissions from the webinar. So at first it looked to me like it just wasn't gonna give the results that I get in live events. I am one of these people, I like to be in front of people. I like the feedback, and I feed off the feedback when I'm sitting in front of people. And in fact, the better the crowd is, the better I get. And sitting in an empty room talking to my laptop was very uncomfortable for me. So I just thought this is going to be a bomb. And then we were not getting the appointment set rate that we get from live events, where we set 60, 70, 80% of the people to appointments. We weren't getting that from the first webinar. And I got to admit, listening to some of the speakers already, there's a ton of mistakes we made. And I think it's on us that we didn't do as well as we would have liked. But I mean, we did a few key things. For all the people who did not show up for the webinar, I sent a BombBomb video, and anybody who doesn't know BombBomb, you got to look at that. It's just a video clip you send of yourself. So I sent a BombBomb video to each of the people who did not attend, and then a simple email, a very simple 3-sentence email telling them, hey, sorry you missed this event. If you want to learn how to optimize your Social Security, here's where you can see a recording of the presentation. So we put the presentation that we got from White Glove, the recording, onto Vimeo. And we had 20 people who signed up but didn't come to the event. 16 of them watched it within a week of the event. And it was actually one of the 2 appointments that I got from no-shows that has just turned into a bunch of new business. So that's happened since I told Natalie I wasn't going to do anymore. So I'm actually rethinking that. I'm probably going to be doing webinars, because I realize there's an opportunity, as you said, to expand out, my territory. One of the problems with live events is just getting saturated in the drive distance around, Lakewood Ranch, Florida, where I am. Sometimes I'm saying, let me do some more seminars. And my rep there, Natalie, is saying, well, we can't get any more. We're oversaturated in your area. Now, with a webinar, I can reach out to other areas. So I got to reverse that. I'm going to be doing more webinars. Sorry to make you disappointed there, I'm sure. But
say something bad, Kurt. So you said that you weren't setting too many appointments.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't get the appointments that I normally get in a live event, and I do think that's probably because of the ability to interact. I interact with people in my seminars. I feed off them. I'm looking at all of them in the eye, etc. And, we just didn't have the appointment set rate that we had, but we got some people into appointments, and actually they were virtual appointments, and we closed a big couple. I mean, they brought a lot of assets on board, and we brought assets under management about 600,000, and then we did an additional about 450,000 in fixed indexed annuities. So we've got an ongoing revenue stream that'll come out of the AUM, and then from the fixed indexed annuities about $30,000. So
let me break that down a little bit, Kurt. So you said something about BombBomb, then you went on to Vimeo. That's something that we don't do, but maybe we should. And I haven't heard that from anybody else yet. So you did something with your no-show that they got to view afterwards. And is that what drove this particular appointment, or was it something else?
Yes. So we got a recording of the presentation from White Gloves after I did it. I sent a BombBomb video so they can see me, and I'm talking to them, say, hey, sorry you missed the event. Why don't you watch it here at this link? We also sent an email. So, because sometimes some people have not seen a BombBomb video before, don't click on the play button and hear your message. So we sent both an email and a BombBomb with a link to where the video was. And we used just a site called Vimeo where you can put up any video, a dog video or whatever. So we put the video there. And out of the 20 people we sent that to, we got 16 views. And one of the views was, two of those views led to appointments. One of those led to the new client. So they were a no-show at the actual event.
That's awesome, Kurt. Thank you. And when we come back around, or actually maybe even right now, would you mind just telling us a brief 30-second, a little bit about your background and how you started marketing and started your practice just a few years ago?
Sure. I'm probably one of the newer people as a financial advisor, including, everybody in the audience. I started working for another small advisor in January 2015. So I haven't been in the business very long. After 2 years working as a sub-advisor, I decided I wanted to go out on my own, but there was one problem. It was going to be me alone. And they say that a financial advisory firm is really a marketing firm. I wasn't going to have a marketing person, a receptionist, anything, just me. And I actually heard about White Gloves and came down to a host university before I started my own firm in January of 2017 at Naples. And on the basis of what I saw there, I went out on my own in April and started doing seminars right away. And, I learned my way through it. My return on investment, was smaller at first. Now, in 2019, I'm at about $6.8 for every, in revenues for every dollar spent on seminars. But I feel a little guilty saying it, but along the way, I've tried a couple others, but nobody's ever been as good. I wouldn't say that to your wife, but I can say that to Dean. I tried Steep Digital, I tried Acquire Direct, I've tried others, and just White Gloves is my marketing division. So I've got a whole team of marketing people. I don't have a staff person do it. I don't have someone following up on, all of that. I've got a marketing team, and brought in 19.5 million in my second full year of business on my own firm. And that's not a fantastically huge number, but 7.6 million of that was FIAs. So we had, in excess of 500,000 in revenues. And by that point, it was me and one employee. So it works out okay in terms of a profitability standpoint. And we're growing. And actually, right now, despite COVID, we're right on track for the goals we set before all this chaos ensued. So we had set goals for growth for this year, and we're meeting them. And we had to go 2 months without any seminars. But thankfully, last week, I had my first live events here again in Lakewood Ranch. They went really, really well. We're going to do a lot of business from those, but I will be trying some more webinars. I can't pass up an 8-to-1 ROI. So,
well, that's surprising, and I'm super happy to hear it, Kurt. I know that you are a grinder and a great guy. So thank you for taking your time with us. Please, if you put yourself on mute as we move over to Curtis, and we'll probably come back to you, Kurt, because you got an awful lot of questions in the chat. So if we have some time, I definitely want to come back and get some of those questions answered. I know that you also use Social Connect as well through White Glove to nurture all of those attendees and registrants and no-shows that have come to your seminar. So we populate all those for you at White Glove and send them not only a newsletter every Friday with credible content, but also your Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So Curtis Cottle, 60% appointment request rate. Tell us about how you do that. Tell us about how you pivoted from live to virtual, and maybe a little bit of your Frank Maselli. For those of you who know, I mean, Frank Maselli is an amazing presentation coach, both for live and virtual. And I think, Curtis, we haven't spoken before directly on this, but I believe that you use one of his openings called the Never Before. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with virtual?
Yeah, so like anything, making a transition, there's a little bit of stress and work that goes into it, especially how fast we kind of had to transition if we wanted to keep our normal marketing schedule. So we really didn't have much of a lull of doing seminars because we tried webinars as soon as it was available. So it was about a month maybe without any marketing from a seminar. But the first one, the first one they did kind of felt weird when you're talking to nobody. You're not sure who's listening. You don't have any feedback. After that, it was pretty, it got to be pretty familiar, or at least you got some confidence in knowing that, oh, I did have people respond last time. There are people out there listening. The people that we're talking to on the phone when we call everybody after, most all the people who watched the webinar watched just about the whole thing or most of it. Where I was concerned they might hop off a quarter of the way through or halfway through. So, but yeah, the big thing is we didn't try to reinvent the wheel. Everything that White Glove told us to do that could improve our results, we did it. We did everything that we could. And one thing we did on our own that we learned after about 2 webinars is we kind of cut our seminar presentation to about 75% as long as the in-person one was. Just for lack of attention span and making sure it doesn't drag. If you got them locked in a room and they can't leave, you can have them there all the time that you want to. But we wanted to make sure it was enough information and value in delivering the open and the close, but not too much to drag. So that was one of the adjustments that we made. But yeah, the Frank Maselli opening, we used the opener and the close. We used to use both of Frank Maselli's opening. He has a dollar bill one and then the Never Before. We do that in person. We use both of them, one to grab the attention, the other one to deliver a message. And then we use his close every time, but we did shorten it up just a hair for the webinar.
I got to put you on the spot, Curtis. What is the Never Before opening?
All right, I've got it pulled up here. So this is what I tell people that I actually have the words on my slides. The slides are nothing fancy, but I actually have the words for the opening and the close on my slide. So I'll tell people, just after the intro, I say, hey, we've got a really unique time in history, and I think it's extremely important that everybody understand the situation that we're facing today. So for the next first part of this webinar, I'm going to put the words on the slides, and then I just read it to them. And it goes, we're at the doorstep of a historic moment. We're facing something right now in America that we've never seen before in our history. And in fact, it's never been seen before in anyone's history, because this is the first time on planet Earth that this is happening. It's not a single event, but more of a condition or situation that's starting to unfold, and it's getting bigger every single day. It's absolutely going to affect everybody listening here today, and it's going to have dramatic implications on the entire nation for the next 30 to 50 years. What makes this situation so potentially dangerous is that we're have no experience dealing with anything like this. As a nation and individuals, we're radically unprepared for it, but it's coming like a freight train, and there's nothing that anyone can do to stop it. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about. The answer might surprise you. I'm talking about retirement. I'm talking about baby boomers, the largest generation of people born in the history of our country, all retiring. You might think retirement is nothing new, and in a sense you'd be right, because we all understand what retirement means. But this is the first time we're going to have 70 million retirees at the same time. More people in the next 15 years are going to retire than have ever retired in the cumulative history of our country. So if you know or study demographics and history, you'll quickly see up till now, retirement has actually been quite rare. This is the first time that we're seeing people living 10, 20, and 30 years past retirement age. This has never happened before in numbers like this. Franklin Roosevelt starts the Social Security program in 1934. He set the age of retirement at age 65, but the average person only lived to age 62 at that time. So we never expected significant number of people to need Social Security, let alone 70 million. No one is ready for this. The vast majority of Americans have not planned for it, but I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because somebody needs to tell you the truth. The truth is you need to protect yourself, and that's why we're here today. We want to give you some ideas, tools, and strategies that will help you take control of your future. You can't solve the entire problem in one day, but my goal is to get you started on a path that will put you and your family in a position to not only survive retirement, but to enjoy this time of your life you've worked so hard for. My name is Curtis Cottle. I'm a financial advisor, and I'm going to be your guide in today's journey into the world of retirement.
Oh, that's awesome. And thank you for that, Curtis. And being put on the spot like that, you nailed it. And I can see, even the people I'm just looking at on the screen here were pretty zoned in. What do you think, Kurt, right? I mean, it's powerful, right? So since you have a 60% request rate, without going through the whole thing, what's just the last couple things you say at your seminar that gets people to raise their hand?
Yeah, so probably I would say if you had to whittle down the key points that I hit on in a seminar, and everything else doesn't really matter, but the key points I try to hit is the opener is huge. So grabbing their attention initially and trying to lock them in to listen to the seminar as long as possible and give your first impression. And then I go on in, and there's 3 times that I throw that pop-up offer where they can sign up for the consultation. The language isn't too important, but it's just more, I think, the repetition. So I'll do the slide out where it doesn't cover the whole screen for the first one, and then I'll pin it to the top of the Q&A. So then I close in a live seminar multiple times on that appointment. So in the webinar, I do the same thing, but I leave it at the pin up, and I pinned it up on top of the questionnaire so they can at any time sign up. So I'm hammering home probably 8 times, maybe 10 times verbally. If this is something that's important to you, go click that and sign up for the consultation. We'll cover that for you. So I'm hitting it a bunch. And then the last 2 times I do the pop-up, I'll do right before I start the close, I'll do a full screen pop-up so they can't see anything but that pop-up where they either do it or cancel it. And then I'll do the close, and then I'll do it again. Full screen pop-up.
So you really bring that call to action up multiple times. And I see in the chat here, a lot of people are not only saying well done and great, and that was awesome, and thank you, Curtis. They're also asking where they can get that recorded or something. But that opening was Frank Maselli, so that'd be who you'd reach out to get that opening. So more on him later. Thank you, Curtis. We'll probably circle back to you as well. Really appreciate it. That was awesome. Wait, how about this? Have you closed any business yet virtually?
Yeah, yep. We've closed probably about 5 cases.
Wow.
And we have another couple that are near close.
Of those 5, Curtis, how many of them have you met in person? Like you did the virtual seminar, then you said come into the office. Any of them? All 2 of them? 2
of them in person, 3 of them were totally virtual.
That's awesome. So you picked up 3 clients without ever meeting them at a seminar or meeting them in your office, all virtual. Now you don't just have to be stuck in Michigan in the winter with me.
And actually, I have one tonight. So after this webinar here, I'm going to close one up. Not a huge deal, maybe $70,000 or so, but it was one that White Glove actually credited back to us because it was not in our state. It was an accidental conversion in a couple states away. But there was enough, just for kicks, I thought I'd see the appointment process through. And so we ended up last minute getting our non-resident license, and it's probably 80% chance going to close up as well. So
I'm at the home office. So, hey, billing, can you charge Curtis for accidental seminar? Sounds like he's doing all right. All right, let's swing on over. You can put it on mute, Curtis. Thank you. We're going to kick it over to Brad Gatto. Brad, I am really intrigued by something that you're doing virtually. Not only are you doing a bunch of them, but just like Kurt, you kind of ran out of some space. You know, you keep fishing the same pond with the same lure over and over. Of course, it gets less and less attendance, but we don't want to see less and less people. So you've done what I've done and what InvestWise has done, and actually expanded out beyond just, you know, a 10-mile radius around your office. So I want to hear a little bit about that. I also, you know, there's another panelist, I can't remember who, I apologize, that said that the closing process is slower virtually. You said that the closing process to get a new client, I believe if my notes are right, is faster virtually than it was. And I see Kelly's nodding her head as well. So I want to hear about, you know, how it happens faster. I know you've been to the last couple of host universities, so I really appreciate you being at this one. I have a great long-term relationship with you, and I learn every time you speak. So let me turn off my mic and let you go, Brad.
Well, you said that we're supposed to say the bad stuff. So the bad stuff is I spent $60,000 with your company before I got a dime back. And it wasn't because you weren't filling the room with qualified prospects. It's because we sucked. And I just stuck with it. So we've been doing it for about 1.5 years now, a little bit more. And of course, like everybody else, I had to switch. And I didn't want to do it either. But we also had kind of built a machine and built our business plan this year around marketing. And so we had to try, and we had 3 live events canceled. In fact, we had, when kind of my state got shut down in Minnesota, we had a workshop scheduled that day at 11 a.m. and another one scheduled at 6 p.m. And so same location, coming back in the evening. I walked into the 11 a.m., walked out of it at 12:30, said goodbye to the gal at the front desk and said, see you tonight. And she said, nope, we're closed. So the world changed in the middle of my workshop and everything shut down, and those 3 got canceled. We called them all, turned them into virtual workshop people, and since then have just kind of ramped up. And our expansion outside of our radius wasn't because I'm just dying to get clients outside my radius. It was a necessity of your point of we're just hitting the same market too many times, and so we're just trying different markets. Because I didn't think the answer was, well, we'll just stop doing it. I thought the answer was, well, it's working, so why wouldn't it work for somebody 300 miles away versus 30 miles away? Maybe the results aren't quite as good, but because the results have been what they are for us, we could afford a little less ROI and still have it be worth our time. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. June and July, you know, May, I think we did 7. June, I think we did 5. In July, I think we have 5 scheduled, just kind of 1 a week. But I'm at a point now, Dean, where we just push play. I recorded it. And so we had one on Monday as an example. And for all intents and purposes, I don't have anything to do with it anymore. So we've got 4 advisors in the practice, 2 of us are owners, and then kind of 2 junior advisors. Those junior advisors jump into the WebExes now, monitor the chat function, make sure that all the questions are being answered, and then follow up. So there's almost a 0% chance we'll stop doing virtual because my time was given back to me, and we can run workshops really as much as we want without any time commitment on my part. And it's taken us a while. I mean, I just gave you the numbers and how many we've done. We're not as good as Curtis yet as far as our ratios of how many people we're seeing, but we're getting there. We're finally getting to that 50 to 60% ratio, but it took us a long time to figure it out. Face to face, we were in that 60 to 70%. People requesting visits with our firm. When we first started virtual, we were about 20. But I was still making enough money back to, try it and keep figuring it out. And obviously I'm not very intelligent. I spent 60 grand without getting $1 back and kept going. So
that's my favorite part. It's the 60 grand.
We just keep going. And now to your point, we're out. I'm in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area, and the last couple that we've done have been all of Minnesota, Western Dakotas, so like the Sioux Falls, Fargo areas, Iowa, and Eastern Wisconsin. And this Monday workshop that we just did this week was all of those areas, I believe. I'd have to double check with my AE, but I think it was all of them. We had 22 attend, and so far we've scheduled 12 of them.
That's
so
awesome.
No fall off in people requesting visits with our firm. In fact, it's gone up since we've gotten outside the Twin Cities.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Brad. It's not fair just to do that to Curtis. So what do you think that you might do better, not just better than average, but maybe better than any other advisor that you've heard regarding seminars and virtual seminars? What's your
nothing? I just spend more money. I don't know. I think the biggest thing is for us, and I think this is true of face-to-face or virtual. So like I've gone with like the backgrounds like you have and like that. But some of the best workshops that we've done have been like, you know, when I was working from home during the height of COVID and my kid walks in the middle of the workshop, that actually worked out well for me. It wasn't a negative, like it normalizes you to people. And so I think just we're like anti-pushy, probably to a fault. We don't, you know, Curtis, when I hear Curtis talking about closing 8 to 10 times, I wish I could do that. I just have like this personal, you know, thing in my head that I just can't get myself to do it. And so we have to find other ways to try to get to that outcome. And the thing that's really been the biggest boost for us from our lower conversion rates early, I say early in virtual, that's like 3 months ago, right? To today, kind of tripling our outcomes is the follow-up. And so we call everybody. We call the attendees and the people that no-showed we do all of ours at 11 a.m., by the way. We don't do any in the evening. I'm just dead convinced that I want people that can manage their calendar and manage their time. You know, if they can't come at 11 a.m., it means they don't have complete control of their life or they're still working. And it's no offense to those people. I just don't want them yet. I want the people that can come to a workshop at 11 a.m. because they tend to have more money. And so we do them out at 11 a.m. and by 3 p.m. that afternoon, they've all been called. All of them, no shows and the people that attended the workshop. And that's been the biggest change for us.
Brad, thank you for that. And we found something really odd at InvestWise and still trying to gather the data on it. But there are different types of people that go to a virtual seminar. Now, you know, it's probably 80% overlap, but there's another segment that would have never gone, certainly not to a dinner seminar, but not even to a live driving to the library type seminar for whatever reason. We've seen a couple of cases that we don't know if we'll close them or not, but are really quite a bit out of our wheelhouse in size. Because we do a lot of the estate planning seminars, that's where you really see some of those types of cases. But for whatever reason, it seems to be working out a little bit better virtual on the ultra big ones than the small ones. That's probably just luck of the draw. But have you seen anything different, or is it pretty much the same people, cookie cutter as live event?
We haven't seen any difference, but I will say, to White Glove credit, I mean, we run taxes. For those of you that are wondering what we do, we exclusively do taxes. In my opinion, it's blue ocean in the advisor industry. A lot of advisors don't know how to read a 1040 or told by their broker dealer that they can't talk about taxes. So I like that idea of the blue ocean, but honestly, the average person we sit in front of from White Glove has at least $1 million. Now, of course, there's the people that have $500,000 and $300,000, and you know, we get those. But it's far more common that they have $1 million. It's weird. It's between 1 and 1.7. That's the wheelhouse for what we get. Not 1.8. It's 1 to 1.7. And then again, sometimes the 3 to 500,000 person. And then sometimes we get I was late getting in to host you because I was on my 5th visit. That's going to blow some advisors' minds with a $4 million prospect from a workshop. So we get those two. They move a little slower. But to your point, you asked us earlier, I want to make sure it gets addressed because it was the thing that blew our minds the most here. Our time frame between workshop and revenue from virtual, face-to-face to virtual, our virtual clients are moving 4 times quicker. That's not an exaggeration. So we're bringing revenue in way faster. Some of that I think was COVID. People are home, they have more time. They don't schedule this Tuesday and then schedule the follow-up visit 2 Tuesdays from now. They schedule it on Friday of the same week, and so we're just kind of moving them through the pipe quicker. It's easier to kind of mesh calendars virtually. I don't have to try to get them into my office. And so it is just moving a lot quicker. And we have a higher ROI virtually so far. anyway, than we do face-to-face.
Awesome, Brad. You know, I didn't know that you were going to say a couple of things that you said. And one of the things, you know, being a co-founder, so 5.5 years of this, you know, we hear complaints from hosts from time to time. And the most common, oh, the people in the audience didn't have any money. You know, I feel weird telling them this, but hearing you and hearing it again, it's not us, it's you. That's what I want to tell them. They are in there. They're not raising their hand because they don't want to come in and see you. So that's what this host university, we use the same special sauce on all our taxes and retirement and all our estate planning across the board, across the nation. We have a different, and I don't want to get into any of our secret sauce, but algorithm and techniques that certain things are that we have access to, that we know for a fact our competitors don't have, and we're able to bring in consistently some very good qualified prospects. Now there's always going to be a mixed bag, right? But nobody goes to a how to reduce your taxes in retirement if they're broke, right?
Right, you don't have a tax problem. That's why that's another reason we stick to taxes.
Yeah, so that was complaint number one we hear a lot. And what was number two? It was, oh, it didn't work for me, so I don't want to reorder. You know what? You could have easily been a statistic. There's a lot of people that try us once or twice or three times and then they're gone. And I just want to grab them and I just want to say, hey, listen, first of all, it's triple guaranteed. So you're getting to the point where you get a free one anyway. Nobody else does that. We do that from the heart. That was Mike and I, you know, when I started doing seminars myself back in 1990, 1991, I was living in a 900 square foot apartment with my mom and my wife. I had to beg my mom to use her Discover card to buy a mailer, and I was broke off of my butt, right? Not too different from you, Kurt. I'm looking at you when I'm saying this story. And it had to work. And I was lucky, and it worked early out of the gate. But I know if they just do what people like you do and what, you know, Host University teaches, and they stick with it, you know, maybe it's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 at-bats, but then all of a sudden it happens. I mean, there's nothing in life you do well the first time you do it. I mean, this is a learning curve for all of us. And so for those of you who've tried us before or, you know, reluctant or whatever, you got to stick with it. It is an investment. We are triple guaranteed. I don't know if you used to have triple guaranteed done for you or not, Brad, or you mix it up. But when they canceled your seminar mid-COVID, right, and you're not coming back in the evening, or for anybody else that uses a triple guarantee, you pay white glove zero. If people don't show up, you don't pay. That's because Mike and I want to elevate the industry. Our communities need our help, and good, you know, we vet every one of our hosts and make sure that you have good records, you know, all of that stuff, and are in good standing with regulators. We believe to the core in what we do. We know it's a great product, and I loved hearing what you said, Brad, about the stick with it and money in the audience every time. And now you're expanding like I am. I spent some time in Florida, and now I'm building a little practice down there as well as in Michigan. You can do that virtually. You can't really do that any other way. Any closing remarks, Brad, before I kick it over to Kelly?
No, I think I was the one that took advantage of the 120-day guarantee. I mean, you guys, I got a free workshop out of you because we suck so bad. So it is just figuring out some of that nuance. Host University 2019, I believe. Yeah, when it was down in Florida was a big change for us. We learned a lot down there, made some pretty wholesale changes when we came back and hit some strides. And so to give you an idea virtually, so now, because I know you'd asked about numbers earlier, we've onboarded, like paperwork signed, 5 clients so far. So that's $7.2 million in AUM. $141,000 of upfront revenue, $41,000 of recurring revenue. And I just was asking my business partner before I jumped on here, I said, what's in our pipe right now? What are we in front of that White Glove has put us in front of? No paperwork, no guarantees, but we've got over 20 million in our pipe right now of people that we're sitting in front of. So, I mean, hopefully we close some of that. That'd be awesome. But that's where we're at.
Awesome. Hey, that's why my music, or my walk-up music was what it was, you know, that's what it's all about. So Good for you, and thank you for the numbers, and thank you for the transparency, all of you. I think you all know that genuinely I am asking for the good and the bad, but this is best practices, you know, so we want to hear about the wins for sure. And Kelly does something that I don't know why the rest of you don't do it, quite frankly. You know, White Glove is a fully done for you guaranteed service. I mean, we are the Cadillac, if you will, premium brand that really holds your hand virtually with a live virtual seminar concierge. You know, we're not cheap. We're not designed to be. We're designed to be the best quality, the best guarantees, so on and so forth. And there's great ways to mitigate those expenses. And even back in 1990 when I started this, I always got an attorney or an accountant to share the cost with me. And it also brings you credibility. I mean, back in the day, he used to pay for the refreshments and the room rental, right? And Kelly does something, and I think maybe some others do it as well. And by the way, wholesalers, Matt Newman will tell you, they write checks all the time to offset expenses. We're always looking for ways for you guys to partner with other professionals or, you know, anybody in the industry that can help offset the cost of White Glove for you, so it increases your ROI and you order more from us. I mean, that's what we want, right? So Kelly shares the stage, quite frankly, and so did I, and so did Mike for a number of years, with an estate planning attorney. And she's picked up at least 4 clients or 5 clients, you'll have to tell us, Kelly, and uses Social Connect. And I just talked to her this morning. She goes, "You're not going to believe me," because this always happens. You ask me about something, and I just had a great win with exactly what you're talking about. So Kelly, if you could tell us a little bit about why you share the stage with an estate planning attorney, what your follow-up looks like, and about some of your wins.
All right. Thanks, Dean. Yeah, for the audience, I have done every White Glove topic they offer, just I want to make sure that everybody knows that. But probably the last year and a half, I primarily do only estate planning workshops with an estate planning attorney. I think it should be known that I do share an office with the estate planning attorney, so that is a huge advantage, obviously. By sharing the stage with him, happens to be a male, his name is Lauren, but by sharing the stage with him or virtually, it's just an awesome experience for the attendees of the workshop. I mean, you've got, you know, he's a male, I'm a female, I'm a financial planner, he's an estate planning attorney, so we kind of get that yin and yang going on. And I'm already kind of a step ahead. I know what the audience is thinking, and I'll even talk to him about, you know, maybe you should explain what the difference between a will and a trust is. And then when we get to the part where, because I do pepper in a lot of financial advisor stuff, you know, he'll confirm what you should be doing from, you know, beneficiary standpoint. And, you know, so there's a lot of this back and forth, you know, with the virtual seminars, because I have done a ton of the live ones. As the rest of the panelists have all told you, it was a little bit awkward at first, but if you wanted to survive in this new world, as we'll call it, you need to be in the forefront and you need to be in front of people and prospects. So just as White Glove makes it as easy to do a live webinar, I think it's important, Dean, that I mentioned that, you know, when you do a virtual workshop, it's literally a couple clicks here and there, and then you're live. So don't let that be, you know, a reason not to start to go virtual. But, you know, we make our workshops extremely real. You know, a couple of you, I think it was Brad, talked about his kid walking in during one of the workshops. I've had my dog bark. I've had the UPS driver at my front door. I mean, I literally, my attorney drinks coffee during his his workshops. I mean, I think that the virtual gives us a little bit of a calmness because you're in your own environment, whether it's in your home or it's even in your office. It's a place that you call home. And I think that is portrayed when you're doing the workshop. So people are seeing you as a real human being, and they're connecting with you. They're engaging this virtual stuff because, let's face it, they're either doing it with their doctor, They're doing it with their grandkids. They're used to this virtual stuff, even though you might not think they are. And, you know, as I'm doing the workshops with my estate planning attorney, we are walking them every step of the way. I put myself in their shoes. If I was watching this workshop, what would I want to hear? What would I want to have happen? These people want to meet with you, but they don't know how. You tell them, if you sign up and have an appointment with us, we're going to be virtually just like we are right now. We're going to talk about this, this, and this. We do everything virtually. If you decide you want to work with us, we can do DocuSign. We'll UPS things to you. The estate plan attorneys now can do notarizations via, you know, virtually. I mean, wow, this is just unbelievable. And these people never have to leave their couch. So I'm like Kurt, where I loved my live workshops and I loved engaging with the people. But I tell you, this is easy and it works. So, you know, just encourage Q&A during the virtual. I mean, explain to them how they ask you a question. I also found an interesting statistic that people that ask questions set appointments. I noticed that the last 2 workshops that I did. So, you know, you have to ask them to meet with you, or tell them that they can meet with you. You know, it's a free consultation. There's got to be you know, an incentive for them to, you know, work with you. And whether it's, you know, we're going to give you a family estate planning binder, which is some of the advisors are doing in our office, or there's something to push them along. Let's just face it, and don't take this in the wrong way. People are lazy. And if you aren't encouraging them, maybe it's, you know, when are you ever going to have the opportunity to speak with 2 professionals that are veterans in their field, that it's all about you? And guess what? We're going to waive the $295 consultation fee. So, you know, it works. That's all I can tell you, is you got to try it. And I don't know, Dean, if there was something else you wanted me to add to that.
Well, you told me something about how when I said, you know, hey, why don't I take a break? And you said how much you loved virtual. You said something about you just close your laptop in your living room or something and go about your day.
Yeah, I mean, so for those of you who are doing the live workshops, you know, you would have to deal with maybe cleaning up a little bit, putting chairs away, dealing with the crabby librarian that you had to talk to, or, you know, during the live. This time it's like, you know, I do a lot of mine in the evening. So 6, 7:30, I say, you know, good night, everyone. Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you, and hit leave webinar and walk into my great room. That's awesome. You know, or go grab dinner. Or I mean, normally I'd be coming home at 10 o'clock at night. So there's a lot. That's definitely some pros there.
Yeah, and you know, you talked to me about how much interaction, and I was very surprised at how much interaction and chat between yourself and the audience. And so you must really encourage that interaction. And you've had more, and I've heard stories about you having more than the vast majority. I credit that somewhat to the conversational nature between you and the attorney going back and forth together. But also, what do you do or say to encourage more interaction from the learners?
Well, and I mentioned that earlier, you gotta keep saying it along the way. Plant the seed in the beginning. I think Laura talked about this early on. Let people know right out of the gate when you're doing these workshops that they have the opportunity to meet with you, and you'll talk about how you're gonna do that. Because let's just face it, these people don't want some big bomb drop down at the end, like here comes the big you know, sales pitch. That's not what it's about. You know, we wanna work with people that wanna work with us. And, you know, I don't want to, if you're working with someone, I don't want to take you necessarily from that person, but if they're not doing, you know, this, and this, maybe you should get a second opinion. You know, there's people that don't even know, they don't know what they don't know. They don't even know why they should be meeting with you. You have to remind them, like, do you have an old 401k? Did you just get an inheritance?
Just start asking those questions and getting that interaction, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's really helpful. And then we spoke briefly this morning. I was shocked by your numbers, but you had a story. Now, Kelly is very much, she's not only a very, very top producer, but she also is very hands-off. She just wants to meet with people, doesn't want to do anything else. That's why she obviously has the done for you stuff with White Glove, but also you can't be talking about virtual. You can't be talking about being in the future in this industry, even the now in this industry, much less the future, and not have a robust professional social media presence, because prospects, even, you know, friends that are thinking about hiring you as an advisor, but prospects, existing clients, happy clients, clients that think they might be leaving you, they do not only look for you on LinkedIn, but there are now professional Facebook pages that are very important to own and operate and control, because people do look for you on social media. You need to be everywhere. So I asked Kelly this morning, I'm like, how is your White Glove Social Connect social media management going? She doesn't deal with the dashboard. She doesn't deal with all the posts. For those of you who don't know, White Glove is a completely done for you. Now it's completely money back after the first 60 days if you don't think that it's awesome. But everybody that's ever been to one of Kelly's seminars or register, White Glove already automatically dumps all their names into a nurturing campaign on social media. And the posts that pop up on her Facebook and LinkedIn and other and Twitter are on, you know, what's going on with COVID, how about the new CARES Act, how about have you done your Roth, all these different things, and it's totally branded Kelly the whole time. So when they click on an article from Wall Street Journal, it doesn't take them off to the Wall Street Journal site where it's populated with Vanguard ads. It stays right, I guess, what is that, terrestrial on that site with her name and a lead form right there. Click here for more information. And I was talking to her this morning, and like I said, she's hands off. She's like, Dean, I've been getting a lot of, what are these likes and these follows and this and that. And not only does Social Connect, and it's only $350 a month, and there's a special offer at the end of this, not only for the best platform and the free content your clients couldn't get any other way, but it's naturally shareable. Nobody's ever shared your website with anybody. But if there's an article on long-term care and you send it to a 60-year-old, their parents or somebody they know probably needed it, and they share it with other people in their family and friends network, you get notified when that happens. And am I talking the truth here, Kelly?
Yes, you are. I couldn't say enough about the Social Connect. Clients absolutely love it. I get tons of compliments all the time. They're keeping clients in the know. The articles are obviously coming from me. They see my picture. They're replying emails when they get it saying, oh yeah, I need to meet with you, have an old 401k. It's just stuff that I never thought would be happening.
You just got one yesterday, a 401k. Because so I have some numbers, and hold on a second. Anybody that joined Social Connect, you get this cool zippy. I just got mine the other day, so I'm gonna put it on here for a second. You get a zippy, you get a placard in your office. You put it in your lobby or your personal office that has a QR code. So when your clients come in, they point the phone at it. They're automatically following you on all social media and being able to share it with other folks. Also, as part of that, there's a newsletter that goes out that attaches 6 articles. Those 6 articles are like from the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Forbes, and Fortune Magazine, and all these, very credible. And Mason, could you share a screen real quick? Well, I'm just going to show you Kelly's actual page, and any of you can Google it. You just go Kelly Boyd, B-O-Y-D, InvestWise Financial, and Facebook. Is it sharing now? Can you get it to share? It doesn't look like it's sharing up there. Is it sharing? I think so. All right. Well, in any event, so this is what they're saying. Oh yeah, scroll down a little bit there. Can you scroll down and just see what that all looks like? Click on that article right there, Mason. See how that article comes up? You can get rid of the lead form there. Just put no thanks. But that's where the brother or sister or something will say, yeah, I want to talk to Kelly. But that whole time, keep scrolling down. Watch what happens. Kelly stays there with all of her contact information. So if you want a live demo, because this is so much cooler than what I'm showing you guys right now, we handle all the dashboards, all the posting, the pictures of Father's Day, Valentine's Day, something to endear you so you're not just a robo-advisor. Kelly, we do all that for you. It's totally done for you, just like the seminars. You absolutely need social media management. You need to be everywhere, and be where your clients and prospects are. But these are actual numbers on my notes here. I just got from our rep at White Glove. This is year to date for Kelly on her social media management that she doesn't touch at all. She has 218 followers on Facebook. Those are mostly her clients. About half of her clients follow her on Facebook. They shared that countless times, and she got 9 lead forms from relatives or friends of her clients. So that what you just saw pop up there, what you're looking at there, was shared from one sister to another, or parent to a child. Long-term care, life insurance, protect your assets in a turbulent market. You can go through her whole page. I have one too. You can go Dean Thurman, InvestWise Financial. She has 2,168 people that have registered for her seminars in the last about year and a half. We automatically, White Glove populated all the registrants automatically right after the seminar into her Social Connect account. So they get a email every Friday with 6 branded articles, totally branded with Kelly's face, but it'll say this is from Wall Street Journal or Forbes or whatever. But man, talk about looking credible. Clients see it, they like it, they talk about it. That is the future. Now, I'm not speaking as somebody from White Glove right now. I'm speaking as an advisor. If you don't have a robust social media, digital, professional persona out there, you're doing it wrong. You got to do it yourself, or hire, your nephew, or have your admin do it. But guess what? Your nephew and your admin are going to do it wrong. You're definitely going to do it wrong yourself. If you look at Kelly's, I don't know if we could scroll down just real quick. We did when we first went viral. Actually, can you go back to our main page real quick, and then I'm going to be out of time. But remember, if you want an actual live demo of this, go down to the birthday one. If you want an actual live demo of this, just type SC for Social Connect demo in the chat. It's a 15-minute demo. You're going to actually speak with somebody on there. Keep going a little bit. See all these articles that she can have on there. Maybe we won't get to but we did a Zoom meeting where we wished everybody during that quarter at InvestWise a happy birthday, and we sang it, and we put the video up on her Social Connect wall there. It's still, look at all those articles that get posted there. Well, while he's doing that, there's a ton of chat and chat questions. I know I'm out of time here. If there's extra time at the end of Virtual Host University, we're going to expand on that. I'll go ahead and hit play. I don't know if we can get the music going, but that's my whole office, right? That's me and Mike and everybody on there singing happy birthday. That guy on the guitar is one of our advisors. I mean, talk about endearing yourself to your clients. All our clients got to see how we said happy birthday. Our kids are on there. It's really cool. That's the future of financial planning. If you got into it to help people, then be a person, right? With that said, this is always my favorite part, not because I'm moderating it or because I love seeing Brad, Curtis, and Kelly so much. I do love seeing you guys. But because this is advisor to advisor, this is the meat and potatoes. There's a lot more good stuff to follow. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about some of the stuff. Put it in the chat box. We're going to spend the next day or two going through all that chat, trying to get each and every one of your very important questions answered. So with that said, do we have walk-off music, or just switch it on over? Thanks, everybody. Thanks, panelists. You did awesome. Thank you.
No, Dean, we actually did try to play music to, hurry you off the stage. Oh my gosh, that was great. I love hearing from our peers like that. Like I said, when Dean and I went to conferences over all those years, that was by far our favorite part of a conference, is when we get a chance to hear from our peers, find out what they're doing, what their secrets and strategies are to grow their business. I mean, that's the main reason I ever attended any of those conferences, and I imagine most of you here today, that's the reason you're here, is you're trying to figure out, well, how can I grow my business, especially during a pandemic? So that's fantastic. So thank you, Dean. Thank you to our panelists. Kurt Stahl, I mean, that idea of sending a BombBomb video to your no-shows. I thought that was fantastic. And he actually had success with it. I mean, that's great. And Curtis, that opening you did was fantastic. Yes, Frank Maselli helped you do it, but you executed it beautifully. And it's easy to see why you have a 60% appointment setting ratio. Although I think it has maybe a little bit more to do with your hair. I'm not positive, but fantastic opening. I mean, that was great. What do you think?
I loved it.
It was great. And then Brad, you brought up a really good point. I'm in my house right now. I got guys working in the basement. My kids are here. My dog is here. I'm getting UPS coming to the door. You haven't heard it yet. Knock on wood, but it's endearing to your prospects and to your clients when they see your family and they see your pet or whatever the case may be. So I think that's actually good. It's kind of like that movie. What was that movie? Where the real estate agent's trying to sell a house, and they say, "Cue the deer." I forget the man. Never mind. Anyways, and then Kelly, I thought what you said was great too, because you're encouraging question and answers and getting that engagement from the audience. I think is critical. And you said something really important, which is people that ask questions set appointments. I think that's true. I think that's awesome. And I think Jeff here is going to introduce the next speaker.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm here to introduce Evan Kramer. And man, this guy is unbelievable. So Evan, he's been someone who's been so instrumental in our transition of virtual for not only White Glove, but our hosts. And man, he's just a digital marketing expert. He's a webinar professional. At his prior company, Evan logged in over 1.5 million webinar hours throughout his career there. Like, what do you do? How can you possibly have 1.5 million hours of something other than sleep? What have you done for 1.5 million hours? It's pretty crazy.
I think I've been alive that long.
Maybe, yeah. I think my to-do list, my honey-do list is probably than that. But anyways, it's pretty amazing. So he just has tons of knowledge and experience. And he's going to unveil some brand new tips and how to improve on virtual event results, including some tips that have never been shared before. So you guys are in for a treat. I don't even know if I've heard them.
I have.
It's like hot off the press. I'm excited. So we're thrilled to bring on the man who's helping us do what we did with live events and revolutionize the industry. We're now revolutionizing the industry for virtual, and he's helping lead the way. So I'd love to bring up Evan Kramer.
Hello, thank you very much. We've got a great topic for you today, talking about the hidden truths behind White Glove's done-for-you services. And what's great about White Glove, as you remember Jeff and Mike talking about, is the fact that when they founded this company back in 2014, they were in this garage, or the basement as they refer to, thinking about there's got to be a better way, right? And the whole thing that attracted me to this business was they did find a better way. They're providing a done-for-you service to advisors around seminars. At the time, it was live seminars up to a few months ago. And that's really what endeared me to want to come to this company and really help it get to the next level. Little did I know that next level mean the first 90 days I'm at the company. But we have really taken that mantra of done for you and have applied it now to virtual. And I want to start peeling back the curtain a little bit and give you a sneak peek about what done for you really means and how we do it and how meaningful and how much work goes on behind the scenes. One of the things that Kurt had talked about on the last panel was that he had a marketing team. He didn't have a marketing person in his company. He felt White Glove was his marketing team, and that's what we want to be to all of our advisors. So it's not just about seminars that are live or virtual, but it's about, even as Brad Gatto had said, is that you are we are behind the scenes. We're doing it for you while you sleep, and you can be advisors, right? And that's what's really important. And so I'll talk a lot about that this afternoon. So we'll talk a little bit about these done-for-you services, but at the end, I'm really going to talk about something that is completely new. It's going to be announced for the first time when I talk about it, and will be for sale as soon as I finish talking about it. So a really, really important announcement at the end that we're all super excited about. And as we said, you're an advisor. You're not an event planner. You may be an event planner. You might be a marketer at times in your business, but you really want to be an advisor. And what I heard on the panel was, you know, White Glove as the marketing team, as the done for you service, really freed up your time to close more clients, set more appointments, do more financial planning, do what really matters to your clients. Let us do the hard work of getting them to you and getting those appointments to you. And that's really what's go time with the Glove, right? We are about webinars. We're going to help you. We're going to help you succeed. And this is really about a done for you service. So let's talk about the entire end-to-end process of done for you, because this is really where the rubber meets the road into our secret sauce. You have when and where am I going to do this webinar, right? We're in a virtual world. Do I have to do it in my backyard? Do I have to do it in my state? Can I do it in the country? Can I do it in my time zone? Which do I pick? Which one's going to be more successful? There's a lot that's going to have to go into that thinking. Who do I target? You know, I've seen the chat coming through, and we've talked a lot about the retirement age, but what about the advisors out there that are targeting Generation X, life insurance, 401ks? There's other topics that could be successful. Are they going to be successful for me? Who should I select? What should be the demographic? Lots of questions to answer. Are you the expert? Do you need help? Pre-event, in-event, and post-event. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just about show up. With White Glove, it's about show up for the advisor, but there's a lot that goes into done for you, and I'm going to go through a lot of these. So when and where, right? Live seminar use case has always been, I'm going to circle a little, radius around my office where people can drive, and that's where we're going to target. And we've supported that. We do really well. Dean had talked about, we do have a lot of algorithms and data science that go into how we target. And we feel that we're going to bring even more qualified folks in a live seminar as well as virtual. We're not going to share that today, but we do that. And you definitely can continue to do that in virtual. But what about, a tangential area? One of the complaints that advisors have, and it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, is if you try to do events every week, every month in your area, you're going to saturate that area, and you've got to let it fertilize a bit, right? And so can you use virtual to complement your live and try to pick some areas that are tangential? Maybe long-term, those clients could drive to your office. Maybe they're just in the same state. And what I like to say about the virtual seminar is that it's not the new normal. The new normal is a cliche term. It's kind of getting thrown out there. What it really is the new opportunity. Why is it the new opportunity? Is because post-COVID, we don't know what's going to happen, right? You're going to have some people that want to go back into a live seminar environment. You're going to have some people that want to go back into staying virtual, right? And so in order to capture the entire market, we really need to do both. And so virtual is here to stay. And if you want to achieve full market share, it's the new opportunity for you. Another is time zones. We're starting to run time zone events, ones that our topics or clients, mostly Generation X, maybe some millennials, that don't necessarily need to meet their advisor in person. But if they're on the same time zone and be able to schedule a lot easier, some great topics, like I said, about planning for life insurance, 401ks. And so we're able to target folks that maybe just got a new job, and so they're setting up their 401k. They were just married. They just bought their first home. They just had their first kid. We have that data. We have access to that, and we can provide that for you. And it probably less expensive targeting a larger geographical area than zeroing in on your own radius. But where are we heading, White Glove and Done For You Services? And what's really exciting, and one of the reasons I really wanted to come to White Glove, is that every market should be a new opportunity, right? And we should be able to help identify advisors as consultants done for you to let you know where would be the best return on marketing for you if you wanted to go outside of your own market. And so you can look, there might be some red, there might be some blue, and at any time, where would be the best place to go given who you want to target, what you want to sell, the types of clients you want to have, we'll be able to help you get there. So that is really exciting. So let's talk about, when and where, right? So the when is, hey, I've got all these times to pick from. My bread and butter go-to for live seminars, I do 7 o'clock at night. They come, they get the babysitter, they drop off the dog, they're there, maybe serve them some food, or they can make a night of it and go out afterwards. In a virtual environment, you just have no idea what the schedule is. How do you know when to book? Should I book at 11 in the morning, as some have said? Do I book 5 in the afternoon? I can tell you I've done 1.5 million hours of webinars and bringing to this company some knowledge as to what the best hours are. But we got to be data driven. Let's see where the best times are, what the best times of day are. And what's really interesting, after running several hundred of these virtual events, what you really got to rely on is data, right? Who has the largest attendance rates, which days and which times? And what's interesting here is that the morning before 2 o'clock on a Monday or Saturday morning by far has been the best times. And who would have thought that, right? Monday, I'm just getting in. I don't want to be distracted by something non-work related. Saturday morning, I'm ready to start my weekend. Who would have thought that those were great times? And not saying those will continue to be the best times, but at any given point, we can advise our advisors what are the best times, right? Done for you. And so you can see different days of weeks between Monday and Saturday. Friday, obviously, was no surprise, coming out the least attractive in terms of attendance rates. But we have this data available for our clients and helping them guide through the process. Who do I target, right? That's the next big question that we want to talk about. Let's talk about a topic like taxes in retirement. So with taxes in retirement, you probably want to focus on a closer age to retirement. And what's really interesting here is I'm going to put up data that shows a live seminar versus a virtual seminar and what the demographics difference are when we're trying to target relatively the same folks. And what we're finding is that for a taxes and retirement seminar, over the last 1,000 registrations for virtual versus the 1,000 registrations we had pre-COVID for live, taking a random sample, the household income was higher for virtual seminars by 20%. It was quite interesting. The average age was a little bit younger, and there was a larger percentage of home ownership. Now I'll talk about what this largest generation cluster is in a second, but you can see that, that the virtual is starting to pull out of the market some folks that are that might be hand raisers, never wanted to go to live and are really great prospects for our advisors. So let's talk about these clusters, right? These are clusters that we've put together. This is what we're doing behind the scenes, done for you. And what you saw on the last slide is something called fringe boomers. A fringe boomer, wow, that's an interesting term. I always thought that, as Matt Newman said, there's gonna be 70 million baby boomers that are gonna be retired. That's a good problem to have for financial advisors. But fringe boomers, what is that, right? So fringe boomers are really what you wanna have, right? These are educated parents of likely college age students that are really on the cusp of finishing their professional careers and heading into a retirement phase. And so we can target on these clusters. And that's really important to know as an advisor, depending on what topic, who you want to go after, what geography you want to be in. So what's coming soon, what we're super excited about at White Glove is within the next few months, we're actually going to be able to give you more profile data on every single registration that occurs for your event. So right now, you might get a name and an email address, and 70% of the time, they provide a phone number that's accurate. But with that little information, we now can enrich that data with the home ownership, the age, this demographic cluster I talked about. Do they drive a Mercedes or do they drive a Buick? Do they have a home that is 7,000 square feet or do they have a home that's 2,000 square feet? So this is stuff that we're going to be able to provide. It helps sets up the discussion, helps set up your prioritization of your pipeline. And we're really excited to be able to bring this to you very soon. So we now have talked about where and when and who we're going to target, what topic we're going to have. Seems like a lot of work already, and we're doing this all again for our advisors. So let's talk about what happens pre-event. What we now have set up pre-event on virtual is when you register, we're actually asking, do you want to have an appointment request or request an appointment with an advisor? And we're doing this while they register for the event. They haven't even seen the event yet. So in case they no-show, or even if they don't raise their hand at the event, we can at least communicate to the advisor that these are potential prospects that you need to meet with. And in fact, we have a service that will actually set up those appointments for you if you like. We're averaging about 6 appointment requests pre-event. The other thing we do is making sure that the add to calendar is a very prominent feature, right? This is very important for advisors to know, right? Because the live seminar, you really need to do a lot of preparation if you're the attendee, right? I got to get in my car, I need to drive, I've got to have that as a planned event in my household. With a virtual, hey, if I got something else going on, I may not be able to turn my computer on, right? And I just may forget about it. I haven't put as much effort into the planning process. And so getting add to calendar is very important for attendance. And so we make this very prominent in the process and have tested this to make sure we have the highest rate of add to calendar for our events. The next thing we talk about pre-event is preparing, right? You had Lara talk to you about the 6P format, the tried and true. That's something that I brought from my last company, because when you do 1.5 million hours of webinars, you start to figure out what's the best format, right? And those best formats you've got to use, and you've got to manage that user experience. User experience matters in the virtual environment. And then pre-event, finally, this marketing team that Kurt talked about that you have at your disposal as advisors, the done for you team, we're calling 100% to confirm they're going to be there. We're texting 100%. We're emailing 100% and multiple times. And we have timed it out to know when are the best times to do it, how often, and how close to the event we should confirm. And you're seeing with our emails, we're getting close to a 50% open rate. And with phone, we're actually getting over a 25% connection rate. So that's why we feel so confident in our attendance numbers that we can guarantee that triple guarantee and make sure you're paying for attendees and after the event. Whereas other companies know that they're going to send out the mailer or do the marketing campaign, and they're going to get people to register, but it's about showing up. It's about results, and that's what Done For You is about. So as we get into the event, we now have our next phase. And one of the things that we talk about that we feel probably is our biggest secret sauce is our webinar concierge. Our webinar concierge is to make sure that nothing goes wrong in the event so that the advisor can shine. The advisor can be onboarded and make sure they're comfortable with the technology. They can be prepared about what to wear, what colors not to wear, what things to say, what things not to say. Well, the one thing I want to talk about is this 20% problem. This 20% problem is the fact that 20% of those that have registered that intend to go into the event don't actually get into the event. Why? Because they have technical issues, because they get in there and they have bandwidth problems. And that user experience can be minimized to 0 if we have a webinar concierge to help every single person get on board. Do you have to download any software? Do you have to have a certain browser open, right? 100 things can go wrong, and that's what advisors fear on the technology. We're here to alleviate that concern. But when you're in the event, you've got live chat, you've got polling, you've got CTAs, and you've got the ability to really be successful with your user experience. Not going to go too much further into that. Lara did a great job earlier today. Also, in event, it's about stay times, right? And we're able to give you information as to how long folks are staying in your event. And what's interesting is we're not afraid to tell the advisor that they suck, right? if our average advisors right now are getting attendees to say 73% of attendees stay 100% of the time, and you're getting them to say 25% of the time, and we're doing all this stuff for you, we need to help you get that 73%, because we know that is what you can actually get. And so it's really important for us to make sure that we're providing this information, providing you this feedback. And it's a long-term partnership. As Dean talked about, you know, you're never going to succeed the first time you do something. With us, we're going to do everything we can to help you get there, but there's often going to take times to get you, and at least we have the data to guide you in the right direction. And then finally, post-event. You know, we actually do things after the event ends. We don't just leave the advisor hanging. Number one is we do a post-event nurturing campaign. We've automated this now over 5 years. We've become successful at the cadence of emails that start up to 2 weeks after the event. Make sure we're continuing to remarket them, even if the advisor is doing it themselves. We're also boosting your campaign with Social Connect. The great product that Dean just talked about, we will actually add on to your event. So we will take all of the registrations that occurred during the event, and we will put them on the Social Connect platform so that they can be connected to through social media for the advisor, all to boost engagement for that event. So, you know, if they're not getting them through email, if we're not getting them through phone, we are adding social media into the mix. So it is a really cool thing. And the last thing to remember is post-event, you don't need to do virtual appointments. You can also book live appointments. That's something to remember. All that is for nothing if there's no success there, right? Kurt talked about $6.8 for every $1 he spends on a return on marketing. Well, the proof is in the pudding with some of what our advisors are saying, but about what our attendees are saying, right? We're getting them to come back. Look at some of these quotes. You can go online and look at all the feedback that we have. A 4.9 average is something that we're very proud of on taxes and retirement. And when it's all said and done, White Glove is now generating over 16 appointments. And if we do the math and what we bring in revenue, that's $213 per appointment request. And so we're talking about putting our money where our mouth is and really taking the risk with guaranteed pricing. All right, so we've talked about done for you. We talked about all the secret sauce, and I promised you that after all that, we are going to announce yet another great product for the first time right now that you can only get after I announce it to help you become successful in seminars. And that is the new White Glove University. So you're going to be able to unlock 3 very important things. Number one, we heard a lot about Frank Maselli, is you're going to be able to get free Frank Maselli one-on-one coaching on at your available convenience. We're going to have a calendar. Every member is going to be able to get that. Number 2 is we are going to have one webinar event every week. This is going to be also powered by Advisorist as well as Frank Maselli. And all of us are going to be collaborating on these weekly events, including one event every month that will be about best practices, very similar to what Dean shared today just before me. So if you found that interesting, you would love to be a member, and every month you'll be able to hear what's going on, because I guarantee you, if it's not virtual seminars, then tomorrow it's back to live seminars, then it's back to appointment setting. It's all about getting better on those events. And then finally, powered by Advisors, we are going to have a whole access to library of thousands of hours of content, PowerPoint slides, videos. How do you close better? How do you sell better? How do you get better appointments? All getting better at seminars, getting better at appointment scheduling, getting better at handling leads. So very exciting stuff. Really happy, as well as always getting a free pass to our live Host University, which occurs once a year. This year was in Vegas. We will also have it, next year as well. So what is this? What is the price of this? When does it start? Really exciting information. This is a $6,999 product on an annual basis. It is going to launch August 1st with all the events. The online library will open up September 1st. But if you act today until the end of July, we're opening up pre-sales at over 40% off. So for those of you that are interested, go to go.whiteglove.com/presale. You can find out more by sharing information. And not only if you sign up for the presale, but you will also get an additional a 13th month free because we do not start the online library until September 1st. So your 12 months will not start ticking until September 1st. So a great product ahead. Unfortunately, I'm out of time. A lot of great information. Going to kick it over to our MCs. Jeff and Mike, take it from here.
All right, Evan. Great job, man. That was amazing. We are so excited about our host university membership. Man, we've been working on that for years, right? We've been compiling videos, and we talk about Frank. Frank has so much relevant content. He's amazing. To have access to Frank is amazing. You look at the price, and I just want to throw something out there. I was watching our chat box, and when Curtis did his power opening, that was from Frank. Our chat box went nuts. Can I get that? How do I get that? Where did he learn it from? You think about if you could get that power opening and learn it as well as Curtis, do you think you might make one more sale, one more close, be able to bring in one more client from just doing that power opening? If you do that, then you've paid for this membership for the year. So it's super, super powerful. And when I say, we've talked a lot about closing clients and whatever, understand that we're helping people. And by us providing the training and you getting better, we're actually helping the public. We're becoming community educators. And that's what all this is about. And that's what we're passionate about. We love that. So we're really, really excited about this new product. So I hope you get some more information, fill out some information, or you can put us in our chat, right?
Yeah.
If you're interested in more information, and we'll get back to you on that.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker. It's somebody who's very near and dear to White Glove. This guy lives and breathes marketing, and for years he's shared a wealth of knowledge with us that has helped us deliver many business growing techniques to the financial advisors and other service professionals who we work with. Jeremiah Demaray is a 23-time award-winning financial marketer, TED speaker, and philanthropist who's been featured on Forbes and CNN. His work has generated over 2 million insurance leads, and he's helped advisors in over 51 countries generate over $300 million in revenue. And he's going to share some of that knowledge right now. You're all in for something very, very special. Everyone, please help us give a welcome to Jeremiah Demaray.
We love Jeremiah.
Take it away, JD.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. What a great intro. Man, what an exciting event that we're doing here. I've been hiding behind the scenes, watching you guys and watching all the chatter that's going on in the panelists. This is a really exciting event, and thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm super honored. For all of you watching on YouTube Live, just want to say, hey, the screen version of this will be available. Just hit us up in the comments. We'll make sure we get that to you. So welcome to everybody. We're streaming this live as well. And, I'm looking at the number of attendees here and, Mike, Jeff, and Evan, I'm just like, wow. For all of you to show up, think about the thousands and the tens of thousands of advisors that were invited to this event, the thousands that registered, and all of you guys that are here today. I know that we're talking to the cream of the crop right now, because for you to stay through all of this and get this knowledge is extremely powerful. And I'm honored to be here just as much as all the other panelists and the speakers today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pick up where White Glove leaves off. I mean, there really isn't a lot left for you to do after White Glove, right? Because all you got to do is show up and be you and add your sales process. But what's become really apparent as our team at Advisors has been studying virtual meetings. Our whole team has been virtual since we started well over 6 years ago. So for us, this is the same way that we've been doing business. And as we've studied how advisors are closing deals virtually or just over the phone, we've noticed trends and patterns. So what we've done today is to bring together the best practices that we've seen that are working on the front lines right now for the top producers. And I'm talking producers who are just, crushing it right now in annuities, in financial services and retirement planning, whether they're doing 1-call sessions or 3-call sessions. And we're seeing this across the United States and Canada. Now, I'm somebody who normally, when I do these teaching events, I love to get interaction, because I know that with the more interaction, the more engagement, the more your mind is going to retain, which is a little strategy you can use by up to 40%. But I also like to see what you guys are doing. So do me a favor, guys, in the chat right now, hit me up. Tell me, what is your primary line of business? Because what I'd like to do as we go through the training right now is to kind of customize this just for you. So you can leave a comment there, and as they're going to start to fly in, we'll get a chance to look at that. Awesome. Okay, I'm seeing the chat here. All right. So, this is going fast. So we've got like retirement, full service annuities. Chuck's doing benefits. Rodney's doing, and then we have. I'm sorry. This is super fast for me. I love it. Okay, Dwayne. Oh no, it's now back into the contest numbers. Okay. So as I'm looking through this, we've got Mike's doing CI Life, Jeff's doing 401k. And with probably a little bit of a 60-70% skew towards financial planning, which is outstanding, because that's how we've geared this. So thank you, guys. By the way, great audience, guys. This is amazing. Okay. Yeah. Oh, my internet. Gotta love the virtual world. Okay, guys, this is, again, it's Jeremiah Desmarais trying to log back in. I'm on Zoom right now. It's looking like maybe you guys can't see or hear me.
I can hear you, Jeremiah.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, all right. Let me stop my video and I'll put it back on. Great, okay. Now can you see me? Okay, you still can't see me. Okay, well, can you see my screen? Do you see a screen right now with some GIFs?
No.
We're not seeing
Okay,
it.
so let me do this. I'll stop the screen share, turn it back on, and give me a 1 in the chat box if you can see the screen. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry about that, guys. No. Okay, you can't see the screen and you can't happening with the I'll do one more attempt at the share, and then we'll just dive into the content. And I will make sure that folks get this afterwards. So just give me, I just tried a reboot right now on the screen share. So if you can see the screen, just put, oh, okay, you guys got it on your end?
Yeah, we can see it, JD.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I think we're seeing, all right. Okay. Okay, very good, guys. Again, I apologize. I wasn't sure. Looks like the internet with Zoom. Okay, all right. So here's what we're going to do. At the end of the session today, we're going to have two special gifts to help you get more virtual appointments. And these are going to be used as kind of like a teaser as the content that you're going to find in Advisorist. But we want to give this away right now so that it can help you secure more appointments using some of the best practices that we've discovered are working really well. Oh, okay, good. Thank you, Eric. So Eric is giving me an insight as to what you guys are actually seeing. One second. If you guys drop off, I'll stop my video. If you guys stop sharing on your end, I'll switch it, and I think you'll have the right presenter view. Thank you. And I'm just going to leave my camera off. You guys know what I look like? And just give me a 1 if you can see grounded in results. All right. Yes, we did it, guys. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay. All right. Awesome, guys. All right. So this is just so you know, right? These aren't the tactics and the techniques we're going to share with you right now are not just about, pulled out of the air. This is based on over 61 million consumer leads generated in insurance and financial services. Over 100,000 appointments generated through social selling, LinkedIn, and cold email, and 11,000 alone just from emails. So what you're going to get is that. And this is just a little background. So, a lot of you know me as, the book I wrote, Shift, and speaking engagements, and my work with White Glove. But behind the scenes, my real passion is service. So what you see here is pictures of my wife and I. We've traveled the world since we've been married 11 years ago, and our philanthropy and giving back. And here's the thing, this all ties together because if you can't create time or systems or processes in your practice, you will never have the time for the things that are important to you. And that's why I'm such a believer in what White Glove does, because it gives you back your life. And I have a very rich and a very blessed life, and I'm extremely grateful for it. But I'm also passionate about helping other people do the same thing. So let's jump into strategy number 1. Give your appointments a name that inspires. So if you're taking notes, you want to write that down. Give your appointments a name that inspires. So think about this, right? When you have a call to action in front of your attendees, whether you're doing this live or you're doing it in front of an audience that's in person, or maybe it's that you have the virtual meetings that are happening, how are you going to position your session with people? And I'm actually avoiding a word on purpose. And the word that you guys probably are thinking right away is meeting, right? Let me give you a piece of advice that we've learned. We stop calling appointments meetings. We have this reticular activator. How many of us here, give me a 1 if you've ever been in a boring meeting? And yeah, everyone, Danny, Colin, John, Luke, Jody, and Kathy put like a million 1s. Yeah. So nobody wants to join you in a meeting. Nobody wants to go to a meeting about financial services. So what are some things you can do? Well, position the session as an empowering movement towards the future, right? And it will change the way that people will perceive you and the session, and will help you increase your show-up ratio. Because I'll tell you, the way that you help increase show-up ratios is actually what you call the event and how you frame the event. So 5 of these techniques are going to be what you need to do prior to, and then 5 of them will be what you do during. So here, one thing never to do is don't use 2 words that a lot of advisors use, unfortunately, called no cost. I want to invite you to this no cost financial meeting, no cost social security review, no cost, and so forth. Do you know why that's terrible? Because there's 2 negative words there, no and cost. So already what you've done is you've primed the mind that there's two negative things about this process. Let me give you some you might want to jot down. How about pivotal financial success session? Retirement possibility discovery session? Retirement revolution strategy session? A money mavericks strategy session? A lifestyle design coaching session? Do you see how those names kind of, they're evocative, they create imagery, they create ideas in the mind. A tax protection jumpstart strategy session, a financial fitness breakthrough session, a social security breakthrough session. So that's strategy number one, is to create a better name. Strategy number two is to set the ground rules before the session. I can't tell you how important it is and how it elevates you and your position when you tell people the ground rules of the strategy session. What do I mean by that? Well, because we live such busy lives, and sad to say, despite the amazing amount of work that White Glove's going to do, all of the follow-up calls, the impeccable presentation that you've had, to most prospects, you're just another advisor. Yes, maybe they've come to learn and love you just a little bit more because they spent 30 to 40 minutes with you in an engaging webinar or in a seminar, but to them in their mind, they have the upper hand. In their mind, you're just another advisor, right? I can pick up the phone, I can go to Google Maps and I can say, financial advisor near me, and I'm gonna meet all your competitors and I don't really care. Plus I can go find one on Smart Asset, I can go find one on Zoe, I can go find one online. So what you have to do is you have to elevate your position as somebody who's in demand and in authority. So here's a couple of ways that we found have increased the show up ratios. Number one is you tell them both spouses should be present. I'll tell you a quick story. I currently live a little north of Boston, but I'm originally born and raised in Montreal, Canada. I moved to the United States when I was 20 years old to find my next big adventure in life. Not too long ago, I was in a position where I needed some financial help for a family member. So I actually went online and I was searching for people who had a specific expertise in a kind of insurance combined with financial planning for Canadians. Now, it was amazing to me. I had 3 calls with 3 different advisors, and I ended up talking to one woman that was basically set a ground rule. If so-and-so is not there on that meeting, I won't have the meeting. And you know what that did for me? Even though I know that strategy, it made me want to do business with her even more. So set a standard for yourself, because if you don't set a standard for your time, nobody else will. I also like to tell people, don't be in a car and be in a quiet area. Budget 30 to 45 minutes so we can really focus on, and then the statement of benefit, designing your financial future. Now, there's also a nice little multitasking quote. It's a little bit, you'll have to decide whether you want to use it or not, but you might do something like this. Oh, by the way, it's really important you don't multitask during this. It's funny, I was reading a study that Harvard did that was published in the Wall Street Journal that showed that multitasking actually makes our brains stupider. So I'm going to be totally focused. My phone's going to be off. My door's going to be closed, and I'm going to be there for you. Just make sure you have 0 distractions around you. So what that does is there's so many psychological triggers there, Harvard study, reticular activator, Wall Street Journal, so forth. It kind of sets the standard that you operate at a higher level and you control your time probably better than they do. All right, that's only 2 right now. We're going into 3. You guys ready for number 3? If you're ready for 3, put a 3 in the question box. And plus, that'll also tell me you can still hear me. Great. Okay. All right. The next one is indoctrinate before you meet. Indoctrinate before you meet. Now, what I love about White Glove has done is White Glove has taken all the heavy lifting off of your plate to do the hardest part of your job, which is capturing the leads, inviting them to a webinar, getting them to a calendar. If there's any type of questionnaire that's being sent out or a qualifier. The hardest part is indoctrination after all of that. And what I mean by that is you want to be able to give people a story. It could be your personal story, your personal passion. Those of you that are going to join the online university are going to get amazing techniques from Frank Maselli on how to do that. But let's say you were just going to start off and tell an impassioned story of why you do what you do and share a couple of examples that are not, FINRA violating testimonials, but maybe you share overarching themes about what you do. Indoctrination prior to showing up for the live call can increase your closing ratios by 27 to 41%. It's absolutely unbelievable. And you can do that with a simple 3-minute video of you sitting in your office telling people what to expect by the time they join your call. All right, we're going to speed it up here because we had a little technical difficulty, so I'm going to keep motoring here. The fourth one was alluded to and actually talked about by Kirk, and Mike Thurman reiterated it. Use video pre-meeting to set the stage. So what you heard Kurt talk about was he used videos to get people back. What I want to invite you to try out is use video before the meeting even comes on board. Now, there's 2 really great tools I'd like to share with you. The first one is Bonjoro. Now, Bonjoro, for those of you that have heard of BombBomb, Bonjoro can be considered a competitor to BombBomb. I happen to like Bonjuro's style and design a little bit more. It's a little bit of a higher end presentation, but both do the work just fine. What I love about Bonjoro is it's an app on your phone that you can create a simple zap. And for those of you that want to get a little technical here, I'm happy to do that. But through a tool called Zapier, you can, when a lead hits your system, when it comes from White Glove and goes to your CRM, you can create a simple zap where it sends an alert through Bonjoro onto your phone that says, boom, Denise just booked an appointment on your calendar, record a video. And by doing that, you don't have to wonder who's filling up your calendar. You just get alerts and you just do it that way. Now, BombBomb is another great way. And I want to see, do you guys notice something very cool that this girl is doing? What is this girl doing that would increase the chance of somebody clicking on the thumbnail of your video? Yes, Melissa, very good. First one, Kathy got it. Hey, Kathy, good to see you here, girl. Catherine got it. Collins got it. Yeah, Mary, because here's the thing, right? Look at the difference here. In this one, it's possible that this woman who's doing the Bonjoro, she is doing a one-to-many Bonjoro, which you can actually do via BombBomb or whatever. You can record one and send it to 100 people. The person might not know whether that's truly for them. But if the video thumbnail shows your name on it, guess what you're going to do? You're definitely going to open that and click that video, right? Now, here's yet another tool. This one I really love too, and it kind of increases the curiosity factor. And for some folks, it's a little easier than just writing on a whiteboard. Is what you want to do is you use a tool called Loom. Now, Loom does something a little different. It works on your desktop, and it will record your screen and your face while you're talking. So that's Loom, and it's a free Chrome extension. You can delegate this to your virtual assistant or your admin assistant, right? So what I like to do is we teach our team to go on the person's LinkedIn profile or their Facebook profile, because guess what? If they see that you're on their screen and they see your face smiling, they're definitely going to watch that video. Like, why are you creeping on my profile, right? But it's actually a really powerful way to get increased open rates. Say, hey, Irina. So if this was me, right, I would say, hey, Irina, I was just checking out your LinkedIn profile. Wow, you've really done some amazing things here. I just had no idea because, there was so many people on the webinar. Anyways, I just want to say I'm really looking forward to meeting you Tuesday at 5. If there has been a change, just use the link below. Otherwise, I can't wait to have your financial fitness strategy session. I'll see you then. Have a great rest of the day. Oh, and by the way, I sent you a LinkedIn connection just so we can stay in touch. Like, how nice and personal is that, right? And if you don't have the time to do it, you can have one of your advisors do it or one of your assistants. All right, moving on to strategy number 5 is use SMS to confirm. SMS or text messaging. Now, here's why you want to consider text messaging as part of your confirmation strategy. Over 97% of text messages are read within the first 3 minutes. Guess what the average open ratio is of an email in financial services? 20%. So if you want to have 4 times more effectiveness, send them a text. Recent survey by Salesforce showed that 31% of people prefer text messages, right? Do you kind of groan when you see somebody call your phone? I know I do. It's like, oh, who's calling me? Can you just text me? Right? That's how people are today. So leverage that medium. But let me give you a pro tip about texting. There's a study that was done not too long ago that teaches us that when people look at an emoji, their brain behaves in the same way as when they look at a real human face. So emojis or emoticons are considered the equivalent to the human face by your brain. Let's take a look at just 3 examples, right? I won't go through all 3 of them, but these are all text messages that a planner might send to somebody looking forward to. Now, you may not have time to read them, but look at these confirmation text messages. Which of the 2 seem friendlier and are you more likely to reply to, right? The ones that are just simple with no emojis or the ones that do? Remember, the person's brain cannot turn off that ability, so use it to your advantage. Awesome, guys. Now we're going to jump into the next strategies, which all have to do with what happens in the call. And I'm really excited about these ones because these are just a couple of strategies. You know, we teach much more advanced techniques in our advanced programs, but I want to give you some nuggets that you could start doing today. So grab your pen and pencil right now because I'm going to give you some actual scripting and some gambits that you can use if you come from a place of high ethics and you truly want to serve people. So number 1 is use a power opening question. Now, I don't mean that as soon as somebody shows up, you just drop this question on them, bam. But what you do want to do is you want to have a little bit of chit chat, you know, ask them how they're doing, something personal. And then this is the transition statement. What made you invest the time to have this session today? What made you invest the time to have this session today? And then shut up. Why do we do that? Why should you not talk after that question? Let me see if you guys have the answer there in the comments. Why should you not talk after you ask that question? Very good. Rodney's got the key, right? Daryl, oh, I like that one, Daryl. They spill their guts. That's right. That's exactly it, right? You will be amazed at what people will tell you after that question. You might have your idea, oh, they're coming for their strategy session, when really they have something completely different. So use that one on your next one, and please send me a note, connect with me on LinkedIn, let me know how it went. I love to hear success stories. Okay, let's jump to the next technique, strategy number 7. We're rounding the bases, pain or gain positioning questions. So this question you will use a little deeper into the conversation. What I typically like to do is when we're coaching advisors, we like to have them start with that question. They get a lot of information. And when something comes up or a conversation point about their previous or current advisor, here's the question you want to use. Now, by the way, before I'm going to give you the question, you have to know this statistic, is that they did a study recently through the Zig Ziglar companies. Now, the Ziglar family has continued Zig's legacy, and they found out that 40% of people in a buying decision are pain motivated, and the other 40% are gain motivated, or they're aspirational, right? What's coming in the future? What are the benefits I'm going to have? And then the other 40%, the pain ones, they're always trying to move away from something, right? It's like, this thing didn't work well. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. This guy messed this up. You know, he didn't alert us about that, or she didn't do that. And the other 20% can truly be swayed either way. So here's the question to find out which one the person is. What's important to you about a financial advisor? What's important to you about a financial advisor? Or whatever practice, you know, a group benefits advisor, a Medicare agent, whatever that is, what's important to you? Now, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to tell you how the previous person is not doing the things that they want to do, in which case you know is what? Pain or pleasure? Hit me up in the comments. Somebody tells you what the current person is not doing. Yeah, you guys got it. That's right. Glenn, Calvin, Gary, Janice, Michael, Daryl, Fatty, yes, Ken, absolutely, right? They're pain motivated people. So guess what you're going to do? In your sales presentation, you're going to focus on what your pain you're going to help them avoid. Well, by using this strategy, we've helped people to avoid this pain. By using this technique or this software or this analysis, We help our clients avoid this pain. But what if somebody says, hey, look, what's important to me is we got this cruise planned in 3 years. We want to go around the world for 3 months, right? And I don't want to see the kids. I don't want to see the grandkids. I just want to go with my bride and I want to sail around the world. As long as I know that everything is taken care of, then I am all good. What kind of motivation does that person have? Yes, exactly. They're moving towards gain all the time, pleasure motivated. You guys are sharp. I love this. Okay, let's move on to step number 8. We only have 3 steps left, including this one. So, she or he who sets the agenda sets the sale. He or she who sets the agenda sets the sale. How many of you have an agenda for your calls and you tell them the agenda when you start? Give me a 1 if you do that. Good. Okay, we have a lot of folks that are doing it, but considerably less than the rest who have been commenting. Okay, let me give you a great scripting approach. Now, here's one you can try out. Lawrence, this is how the call is going to go. First, I'm going to ask you some questions to find out if or how I can be of service. I'm not being nosy, okay? I just need to find out if or how I can help you. The more open you are during this call, the more you're going to get out of it. Then I'll tell you more about the things we do over here. Of course, you can ask me any questions you have at the end of the call. I'll clarify anything that needs clarifying. It's best to have a notepad to jot down notes. And at the end of the call, all I'd like to know is if this makes sense to you or not. Does that sound fair? Great. All right. And then you'll proceed with your questioning. Now, there's actually about 7 psychological triggers that go on in the script that I don't have time to explain. But I just want to focus on the first one. Lawrence, say the person's name, right? I'm actually picking one of the audience members. This is how the call will go. This is not a negotiation. This is not a discussion, right? This is how the call is going to go. All right. Step number 9. We're rounding the bases here. Introduce the 2-step process. Now, this is a really interesting technique we only started testing about 3 weeks ago in the field. But we've discovered that when presenting this as a 2-step decision-making process, that the strategy session or the breakthrough session or the clarity call is a 2-step process, we've seen an increase in conversions of people taking action even on the first call. So here's what it is. Instead of telling people that, we're going to make a decision today, which I'll be frank, I'm totally fine with that. But some people are just, they're not comfortable. They feel that's a little too hard closey, right? I just made up a word, hard closey. So what they like to do is start off their calls and say, look, this is a 2-step process. Today, this is your financial strategy session. We're going to do this, 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 and this. By the end of the call, we're both going to decide whether this is good for both of us. And then step number 2 is going to be, we're going to have a decision call. On that call, you're going to decide whether we're going to move forward, and we're also going to decide on our team side if we want to have you as a client. This way, there's no pressure for you, sir or ma'am, to take action today. This is really just for me to get the information I need to know if I can serve you, and if not, who I can refer you to. Wow. Do you notice that there's this almost palatable lift of pressure off the shoulders when you tell people that there is going to be a call? But here's the thing, just like with the first call, you do have to name the second call. You've got to call it the decision call, right? Because when it shows up on their calendar and you've got a reminder and it says decision call with Peter Stefanik, they know that that is not a call to mess around, to kick the tires. They know I got to decide when I jump on that call. Awesome, guys. Okay. Well, are you ready for step number 10? Give me a big ready in the question box if you're ready to go. And then I got the gifts. Yes. Okay, everybody, here we go. See, technology couldn't slow us down. All right. Never stop testing. What I've given you today are some of the best practices that we used, but I'll tell you, next week, we're going to be testing others against this one. And the winning recipes are going to make it into White Glove University. They make it into Advisors. They make it into our higher level programs. Never stop testing. Everything that everybody's going to share with you today is going to have a life cycle. In fact, there's this whole, in deep marketing conversations, there's this whole chart about the effectiveness of tactics. What happens is you learn something, it starts to get cool, more people learn about it, and then everybody does it, and then the effectiveness drops over time. So here's how to avoid getting stuck in that rut where your stuff doesn't work anymore. use short sprints of time to test concepts and ideas. So a sprint can just be a block of time. You could be testing things. If you're meeting 10 people a week, you can run the test over a 1 week period. But if you're only meeting 10 people over 2 weeks, then I'd run it over a 2 week, or 10 people over a month would be a good test to run. The other thing is, please only test one thing at a time. So you can test the time of day of your appointments. You can test SMS versus email confirmations. You can even test background options, right? Maybe the difference is where you show up in your office, people feel a little more comfortable on Zoom. You can test opening statements, closing statements. You can even test how you bundle your offering. And then the other thing that I've been talking about is test in batches of 10. When you test in batches of 10, just do one thing at a time. And what that'll do is it'll help you and your team find the precise inflection points that lead to an increase in conversions. All right, well, let's do a quick recap, my friends, of everything that you discovered today in the short time we had together. Number one, you learned the power of changing your appointments or meetings into something more powerful. Number two, we discovered the ground rules that you should create before the session. So using words like both spouses must be there, no distractions, referencing the Harvard study about multitasking. Number three, indoctrinate before you meet. This could be a simple video of you sitting down in your office, telling people what the expectation will be and how you've helped so many people. And then use video, use texting, the power opening, and so forth. All right, that's it for me, folks. Here's what I'd love to do. If you'd like to get the updated slides, because we added a few bonuses in the version that you've seen on my screen, plus 2 special bonuses, just go to this website right now, advisors.com/WGS. You're going to get some proven cold email and LinkedIn templates to confirm meetings for advisors, RAs, and agents. And then we've got the definitive virtual meeting playbook for insurance and financial advisors, which has 44 tips, tools, and techniques that you can try on the front lines. Just go there right now, advisors.com/WGS, advisors.com/WGS. Thank you so much, everybody, for having me here. White Glove, thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be part of the exciting new university program, and we'll see you out there.
Thank you, JD. That was awesome.
That was amazing.
Oh my gosh, you even JD broke the internet. That was great. It was a smooth re-entrance. You know, that's one of the benefits of White Glove virtual seminars is on every virtual seminar, we have a webinar concierge that will help you with any technical difficulties that may occur. And if I would add one more step, to the list regarding the appointments that JD just talked about is when you set the agenda for your virtual seminar, you mentioned, hey, you know, it's possible we might have a little breakdown in technology at some point. Don't worry, I have a concierge here with me that's going to help you and is going to help me if I run into any technical difficulties. So it's going to be all good.
It was all good. Because here, you know, what did we do? We didn't even panic. We sat back and we were like, you know what? We got a team of people taking care of it.
We did start drinking as soon as that happened.
But that wasn't why. It was great.
Okay.
We knew it was taken care of.